It's 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Friday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us here on 702. I hope your week has been going well so far and that it's ending on a good note. It's a Friday, and every Friday we do Gratitude Friday. This is where you can call us and tell us what you're grateful for this week. What happened this week that put a smile on your face? 011-883-0702. That's the number to dial. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. So, there's so many dots for us to connect. And I'm just trying to figure out if we should start connecting the PIC dots today, or maybe reserve that for Monday, and today connect some more dots about Andrea Johnson and IDEC and Dumisani Khumalo and why they were so desperate to go after her. Because more and more came yesterday during her testimony at the Madlanga Commission. But we need to keep a very close eye on the PIC because the chair of the PIC has now resigned. That's David Masondo. Because the Minister of Finance, Enoch Kotongwana, was going to remove him as chair together with the remaining board members. Was going to dissolve the board, essentially. And now, the Mail and Guardian, I see, is reporting that Uzuko Golimpi, who's the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, may be seconded and appointed the chair of the PIC. Because remember, the Act provides that the Minister of Finance, as government's representative, may designate the Deputy Minister of Finance or any Deputy Minister in the economic cluster to be appointed as chairperson of the board. And this will be done in consultation with Cabinet, which, by the way, contradicts the recommendations of both the Minister of Finance, Tito Mboweni, the then Minister of Finance, and the Mpati Commission, because the Commission recommended that the chair be an independent person and not a political person to improve governance. And honestly, the reason we are stuck with this crisis now is because of politics. The people who want control over the PIC, and they're fighting over that control. And there's a lot to unpack with the PIC. And I want us to dedicate some time, and maybe we can start on Monday to take it step by step, because when you look closely into how the PIC financed the deal at Lanseria Airport and what's happened when over 400 million rand was paid by the PIC to a BEE partner at Lanseria Airport, there's a lot that's not making sense there. And last night, I spent the whole night reading the PwC report that focused on this transaction from the PIC to this BEE partner at Lanseria Airport. And some of the things that are coming out of that report are actually quite shocking. So I want to take some time to explain to you step by step what transpired, and maybe we can bring in some experts who can help us understand even the valuation, for instance, of Lanseria Airport. So park that for a moment, right? It's something that we'll get into because it's so complex and I need time to explain it. I want us to connect the dots today about Andrea Johnson and IDEC and Dumisani Khumalo and some politicians. I'm sure you've continued to follow the testimony of Andrea Johnson. Yesterday, I argued that I don't believe Andrea Johnson is incompetent, and some of you agreed with that argument because her illustrious career suggests otherwise. The question I was asking yesterday was, why would she act so unethically and violate even the NPA Act and risk perjury and act contrary to what's expected of her as the head of the institution? And I asked, what was in it for her? What did she stand to benefit from going after Khumalo and co so desperately? And we all came up with all sorts of suggestions of what was probably in it for her. Was she trying to clear the path for her husband, who works for crime intelligence? Because if General Khumalo is out of office, thank goodness to the charges that IDEC placed against General Khumalo. Then if General Khumalo eventually is out of office, then maybe General Khan, Firoz Khan, is appointed the head of intelligence, and then maybe her husband is appointed deputy, or vice versa. Who knows? We don't know. But it's unexplainable that she went to the lengths that she went to. There was something in it for her. I'm convinced. I just don't know what it is. I want to ask a slightly different question today. And hopefully we can all try figure it out together. And that question is, why was IDEC and the police minister's office so desperate to have the head of crime intelligence, Dumisani Khumalo, charged and hopefully removed from office afterwards? Why were they so desperate to go after them to the point that they even act unethically? To the point that IDEC even violates the NPA Act? What were they trying to stop? Because clearly, the head of crime intelligence, General Dumisani Khumalo, was onto something. The question is, what exactly? What was General Khumalo onto that Andre Johnson was trying to stop, together with the office of the police minister? That's the question I'm really asking this morning. Can we try figure that out together? Let me give you some suggestions through clips. And maybe this is going to answer the question of why IDEC was so desperate to act against Dumisani Khumalo. And we now know that clearly there's no case here against Dumisani Khumalo. They haven't demonstrated any strong case of corruption and fraud. I mean, the head of IDEC had to apologize yesterday for saying Mokwele was a token appointment. How do you make that statement in an affidavit when you have not even seen Mokwele's CV and qualifications? And only when she's shown. But you see, this woman was even doing her MBA. This woman has the degree in this. She meets the qualification. Then she apologizes. So we already know any rational person looking at the testimony of Andre Johnson can see that there's no case here against Dumisani Khumalo. The question then is, why were they so desperate to go after her? Something was happening. Maybe Dumisani Khumalo was onto something, because the mistakes that were made are too frivolous. So what were they trying to stop? Listen to this clip, and maybe these clips I'm going to play to you will give you a sense. This is General Dumisani Khumalo testifying before, was it the ad hoc committee or before the Matlanga Commission? Ad hoc committee. Listen to how he mentions the dates, because you'll see how there's a lot that happened in December 2024, and maybe that's going to give us a sense of why Dumisani Khumalo was being targeted like he was.
And then another coincidence on the same day, on the 6th of December, at the time when these two operations were ongoing. This is the time Advocate Johnson sent a formal email to both Divisional Commissioner of Detectives as well as the Deputy Provincial Commissioner of Detectives in Gauteng, requesting access to the dockets that had been reported by the Member of Parliament, Mr. Fadel Adams, against me, the executive of crime intelligence, that is responsible for GCI ops. The dockets were requested as a matter of agency on that day, the 6th of December, when the operation was on. That is attached then as Annexure SDK 13, that agent request of those dockets. Hence, then, as I said when I started the discussion under this paragraph, that the December, especially the 6th, was the beginning of the problems of PKTT and Khumalo.
You see, that's Dumisani Khumalo explaining to you what was happening in December. December 6th. What happened on December 6th is likely to answer the question I'm asking. Why was IDEC desperately trying to nab Dumisani Khumalo. What was Dumisani Khumalo onto? Now, Dumisani Khumalo is the head of the PKTT. You know that. On the 6th of December, guess what operations the PKTT begin with? The Katiso, Molefe, and Ket Matlala operations. There was a raid at Matlala's house on the 6th of December. What does that tell you? On the 6th of December, the PKTT is moving on to Katiso Molefe. They're moving on Ket Matlala. And what happens on the 6th of December as well, while that operation happens? Andrea Johnson simultaneously is seeking the Fadil Adams dockets. And then in January 2025, Andrea Johnson somehow authorizes the formal IDEC probe into Khumalo. So it took them, a couple of weeks to do a preliminary investigation, which explains why the mistakes are, their prosecution is littered with so many ridiculous mistakes. On the 31st of December 2024, Mkhunu issues the directive to disband the PKTT. And that, my friend, that's it for me. Remember my question. What were they trying to stop? Because if you're as desperate as IDEC was to go after Dumisani Khumalo, you've got to look at what was Dumisani Khumalo doing. Dumisani Khumalo was busy trying to arrest Katiso Molefe and trying to arrest Ket Matlala. That's what Dumisani Khumalo was doing as the head of the PKTT. And then what does IDEC do? They start targeting him with frivolous charges. What does the police minister do? The police minister starts the process to disband the PKTT. This comes from the genesis of Katiso Molefe and Ket Matlala being arrested, or the PKTT moving on them. And my suggestion to you this morning is, and maybe this is a long stretch, but we're dealing here with a situation where IDEC may have played a role in trying to prevent the prosecution of these alleged criminals. In a way, I don't know, that's the dot I'm trying to connect here. I don't think it's a coincidence that on the 6th of August, when the PKTT is moving on Katiso Molefe and it's moving on Ket Matlala, and then simultaneously Andrea Johnson is trying to push to get the docket so that they can arrest Dumisani Khumalo. It's not a coincidence that on the 6th of December, when the PKTT is acting on Ket and Katiso, the police minister, during that month, starts the process to disband the PKTT. And if indeed this is what the police minister's office and IDEC were trying to do to protect these criminals, then these criminals are much powerful than you and I think. And maybe that's the scariest thing here. If the alleged criminals could have the support of the office of the police minister, if the alleged criminals can have the support of the office of IDEC, then let's close this country. We might as well close this country. How are you connecting the dots? Let me know on 011-883-0702. By the way, News 24 has an opinion piece by Peter du Toit, where Peter du Toit argues that, in fact, let me read you the headline of this opinion piece. It's quite unbelievable. The opinion piece by Peter du Toit and News 24 says, the headline is, "The Crucifixion of Andrea Johnson." What is News 24 doing? This is a third opinion piece that's taking a defense of Andrea Johnson. Any rational person who has looked at Andrea Johnson's testimony, come on, can tell what's going on here. How is it that News 24 doesn't see that? And what game are they playing at? I mean, in this opinion piece, Peter du Toit says the commissioners were approaching or seemed to be approaching Andrea Johnson as if Andrea Johnson was Ket Matlala. Are you kidding me? How could you say that? And I tweeted and responded to this article that I think this is an unfair statement to make about the commissioners because they have consistently conducted themselves with the highest level of professionalism. And all they did was inquire. Isn't that what this commission exists for? How could it be that News 24 is blinded to the injustice of Mukwele, a woman who was charged for corruption and fraud with no basis whatsoever? A woman who was called a token appointment when the investigators of IDEC themselves have not even looked at her qualifications. They got it so wrong. Are you telling me that News 24 is not seeing that? And if they are seeing it, then the question is, why would they go the extra mile then to try and defend the indefensible? Let me know your thoughts on 011-883-0702. WhatsApps on 0727021702. At 10 o'clock, we're going to take live the judgment coming out of the Western Cape High Court, because they're going to hand up judgment on President Cyril Ramaphosa's urgent application for an interim interdict to halt Parliament's Section 89 impeachment committee from proceeding with this inquiry. So how is it going to go? We're going to take it live at 10 because it's an important judgment. It's going to determine what happens next at the impeachment committee, and then I'll bring in some analysts to tell you what it means, whatever judgment comes out. At 11 o'clock, we do our relationship feature, and today we'll be discussing how our parents have impacted and shaped our romantic relationships. That's the show. Up next, over the next 3 hours.
Since its establishment in 1990, thousands of successful leaders in the legal profession have walked through the doors of the Law Society of South Africa's School for Legal Practice. Not only do we promote professional training, but our lead schools across the country provide training in over 25 learning programs. For the best practical vocational training course for future leaders, come to LEAD. Visit our website on lssalead.org.za. LEAD, your #1 school for legal education.
Hydration is more than water. It's about choice, enjoyment, and flavor. That's why Akwele offers something for everyone. Crisp, still natural spring water, lively sparkling, fruity flavors, and sports drinks to boost performance. And don't miss the exciting new Mzansi mango flavor, now here to stay. Plus, look out for the bold berry blue mascot along the route. Snap a pic, tag Akwele, and you could win a year's supply of refreshments. Walk refresh. Walk Josie with Akwele.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials.
It's the flavor!
Real reviews by real people. Dolly from Boertesig is vegetarian-ish, with a reputation to uphold. Here's what she whispered about the half chicken and a single side for $1.25.
Hey, shh. What? I don't eat chicken, but for Nando's, I make the exception.
Well, good thing there's a salad on the side for appearances. Of course. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
We're giving you millions of reasons to celebrate with our selection of Lucky Millions Lotto draws. You could claim major jackpots when you pick numbers from thousands of daily draws. Choose numbers on UK 49s, Euro Millions, and lots more from just R5 per line. Enjoy more chances and more ways to win, all in one place. Grab your chance to celebrate extraordinary riches when you play Lucky Millions from Hollywood Bets. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
On Sunday, the 26th of July, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment will be walking with you and the rest of Joburg in the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, because amazing things happen when Joburg walks together for a cleaner and safer city. So do your part by separating recyclables, using designated bins, and never littering or dumping waste illegally. This message was brought to you by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, the official environmental partner of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. More on primemediaplus.com.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Good morning, Clement, and morning, 702 lenders. I'm Pumi and Dipkloof. Let's not rush. Let's not rush. God is on the throne. This is revelation time. everything will be revealed. Whether they were trying to pave a way for one of their own, God is going to reveal. Revelation time.
Good morning, Clement. This is Gordon in Boxburg here. Clement, the central figure in all this to me seems like Khan. And I'm yet to see the link between Adams and Khan, because that will also explain a lot to me. But, you look at that Mbenze guy. Mbenze was, apparently those guys went to him because they had hijacked a truck of cigarettes. And Mo Said is a cigarette guy. And then the next thing, witness D wants to testify against them because they killed that Mbenze guy. And a former bodyguard of Said is the one accused of assassinating witness D. So to me, a lot is revolving around General Khan. And you remember in the Eritrean saga, apparently it was his drugs. Mkhwanazi has mentioned Feroz Khan a few times also as a central figure. So this to me all revolves around Khan.
Hey, good morning, Clem. Great show as usual. I hear your question, man. Remember, General Mkhwanazi said that the arrest of General Khumalo, it was a project. I think it has something to do with those dockets. I think the docket had something to implement someone in a higher position. That's why they wanted to stop this whole thing. And another thing, man, have you seen how News 24 is defending Johnson? They really defending her.
And for me, that's the worry. Beyond even what they have seen. In this article that is titled The Crucifixion of Andrea Johnson, nowhere in the article does Peter du Toit even mention how problematic the testimony of Johnson is and what it's revealing about her as an officer of the law and about the team at IDEC. Nowhere does it even question that. So then maybe we are the crazy ones. All of us watching the Madlanga Commission and finding so many problematic things with the processes that IDEC followed, then we are the crazy ones. There's no other way to explain it. Then News 24 is not seeing that. Or they're blinded. They're blinded to the irregularities and the violations of the law that transpired here and the unethical conduct. And if really they're not blinded to that, again I ask, what's in it for them to be defending? And to be fair on News 24, right? It's not News 24 that defends Andrea Johnson. There are specific people there. This article by Peter du Toit, it's an opinion piece. It doesn't represent, what everybody else who works at News 24. But consistently, we've seen opinion pieces that are defending this woman, even with everything News 24 knows about what this woman has done. What is going on? Why are they so desperate to defend her and even say she's being crucified when all of us have seen the wrongs she has committed? That's where I'm struggling. It's 9:32. More of your calls and WhatsApps after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Fiso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The PIC has assured the retirement savings of public sector clients, including the Government Employees Pension Fund, are safe as the entity faces a governance crisis. Earlier this month, PIC CEO Patrick Dlamini and Chief Investment Officer August van Heerden were suspended following whistleblower allegations linked to a 411 million rand questionable payment. Last night, its chairperson, David Masondo, announced his resignation, saying it is in the best interest of the country and the stability of the PIC. A new witness is expected to take the stand in the attempted murder trial of alleged crime boss Vusmuzi Kat Matlala. It comes a day after the High Court in Johannesburg postponed the state's first witness who testified about an alleged hit on taxi boss Jose Banyoni, with which Matlala is accused of orchestrating in 2022. Matlala and his co-accused accused, 4 people, face a total of 25 charges, including attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, among others. And a threatened provincial taxi shutdown in Gauteng has been averted following crisis talks between the provincial government and the sector. The industry says it has agreed to keep operating while negotiations continue over several disputes, including the issuing of operating licenses. Commuters have been assured they will not face any disruptions to taxi services. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, travelling in Calvin, we've got delays on the N3 North between Marlborough Drive and the Baku interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 South just as you approach the Baku turn off. While travelling on the N1 South out of Midrand, you expect delays also approaching the Baku. This is due to roadworks coming out of Islandale Road. Then heading towards Bedford View, we've got heavy traffic volumes on the N3 North. This is between Van Buren Road and the Gilulis interchange. If you are travelling in the city of Tshwane, there's queuing traffic on the R80 East Mabopane Highway just as you approach Mphahlele Drive. Please approach with care. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When you're unfairly treated by your bank, insurer, pension fund, or financial advisor, who do you turn to when things go wrong? South Africa's financial ombud system, overseen by the Ombud Council, provides free, fair, and impartial dispute resolution. Visit their stand this Sunday at 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk and meet the National Financial Ombud, the FAIS Ombud, and the pension funds adjudicator to learn more about your rights to fair treatment. Go to ombudscouncil.org.za for more information.
The Volkswagen Vivo is South Africa's favorite car. Let's cross live to Johnny at Barron's VW.
Bill, the energy is unbelievable. Barron's is selling Vivos for just $2,999 per month. Sir, what's going on here?
Everyone's just going crazy for this deal. $2,999? That's incredible. No wonder the country loves the Vivo. Vivo Barron's Vivo.
Available while stocks last at Barron's Woodmead and Barron's Broomer today. Barron's, the Volkswagen people.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials.
It's the flavor!
Real reviews by real people. Nico from Kailami is in touch with his emotions. So when we asked about the Nando's Peri Peri half chicken and a single side for only $125, he said,
I'm sad. I finished it.
Ah, Nikos, ungawari. Because this chicken season has more episodes. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Johannesburg is calling. Join thousands of Joe Burgers on Sunday, 26 July for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk in proud partnership with Standard Bank. Experience the energy and spirit of the City of Gold as you walk through the historic streets of Joburg CBD, celebrating a city on the rise. As an iconic brand deeply connected to Johannesburg, Standard Bank invites you to be part of a movement that's bringing communities together and showcasing the best of Josie. Starting and finishing at Ellis Park, this is more than a walk. It's a celebration of our city and its growth journey. The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank.
When Joburg walks with the people, for the people, on Sunday, 26 July, everybody will come together at the finish line of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Walk the talk.
Babize bonke. As Josie's favorite artists bring an epic afternoon of fun to the people, featuring Babalwa M, Lebza Defilian, Vibuhle, Nomfundo Mo, Sam Deep, Citizen Deep, and Manana. So, after you've taken the scenic route, join us at the finish line and celebrate the iconic rhythm that makes Joburg more than just a city.
It's Joburg, you know?
702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the Talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock, it's the 702 open line. Maybe we should call it the Connect the Dots feature of the Clement Manyathela Show. Someone tweeted and said, "Hi, new Vic on Twitter says, Clement, I always appreciate your Connect the Dots feature. So maybe we should turn it into a feature." I'm taking your calls and WhatsApps on what we're trying to connect the dots. The question I've been asking about Andrea Johnson today is different to the one I asked yesterday. Yesterday, I was asking, what's in it for her? What did she stand to benefit from going after Khumalo and co so desperately. Today I'm asking a slightly different question. What were they trying to stop and why? Because it can't be that the police minister's office and IDEC are doing something that ultimately is going to end up getting Khumalo out of office or arrested. And they're doing that within the same time that the PKTT, which is headed by Dumisani Khumalo, that they want arrested, was busy pouncing on Ket Matlala and Katiso Molefe. And if they were trying to protect these alleged criminals, then do we still have a country? Do we still have law enforcement? Why? Is it because Boket were going to implicate certain high-profile people, or that was going to disband and dismantle some criminal network? And why would the police minister's office and the IDEC office want to protect people like that? Let's try figure that out together. But let's start with your WhatsApp voice notes now on Gratitude Friday on 072-702-1702.
Good morning, Clement and the team. Yes, what I'm grateful for that happened to me this week, I turned 50 on the 21st of July, and what an amazing birthday intimate party that I had with my partner. She had a signature cake made for me, booked me into a 5-star hotel, 6-course meal, and the reception at the hotel in Polokwane was fantastic. It's Mbui here in Polokwane, Bendo, and I'll be forever grateful to my partner. Thank you, Clement. Great show, and have a lovely weekend.
Morning, Clement. Happy Friday, Clement, for Gratitude Friday. I am grateful for the fact that yesterday, oh my gosh, I got an SMS from Home Affairs saying that I must come and collect my passport. My passport, Clement. Oh my goodness, it's a po moment, because you know what this means, Clement? It means that I will no longer be in Mzansi. Why? Clement, I'm going to be exploring the world. I am so excited. I feel like I've just won the lottery. In my mid-30s, Clement, I'm having I'm having a passport for the first time, and it's just so exciting. I'm just so excited. So next time, Clement, when we are leaving the country, please take me along. I'm so excited. You know what's also even more exciting, Clement, is that last month I did a vision board, and passport was on my vision board, and yesterday I am receiving this SMS. Exciting times. Yesterday I came across a quote that says, you can't add more years to your life, but you can add more life to your years. So I feel like by me doing this, I'm just adding life to my years. Oh my gosh, Lord, I'm so happy. Happy Friday. I'm so grateful.
Oh,
God
man.
is good all the time.
I wish Abel had that, so I can play it for you. Well done. Congratulations. It is exciting to get your passport, and yeah, that's going to be so fun, man. Please, when you go out, your first country you're going to go visit, you must call us back and tell us how that went. All the best.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Back to your calls on 011-883-07002. Godfrey, you're calling us from Midrand. Good morning.
My name is Tobe.
Tobe.
You know, this lady is now being reviewed for perjury because yesterday she was told about the difference in her statement and dates, including when she was asked, she said she reported this matter in December, but all the dates show that by November she had already signed and given the authority. So she actually seems to have perjured herself at the ad hoc committee. Yes, such that Nola raised that matter with the chairperson of the
ad hoc committee, because they were meeting.
No, of the current of the ad hoc committee as they work on the report to say, hey, we've got a problem here. That's already our person is being this thing. Now, with a name like Godfrey, I'm embarrassed by the fact that General Godfrey Libya to Libya. On the 6th, he sent people. He confessed. I'm surprised he's not been called. He phoned about an operation at an address in Sandton, if you recall.
We had him on the show, Godfrey. He said it on this show.
Yeah, he said it to you. And then when, it was as if it's okay. It's just an ordinary citizen. Meanwhile, he was actually referring to KT.
So I remember that because we interviewed him on the show, Godfrey Libya, the former head of the Hawks, because he called someone and said, hey, go check what's happening at this house, which happened to be Katiso Molefe's house. Because but his justification was, no, someone called him saying people are impersonating Hawks officers, which was not really true because people who were there identified themselves as PKTT members. They never said they're Hawks officers because they appeared at the Madlanga Commission and said that. So the question then is, who is this person who called Godfrey Libya? We now know who the person is.
The blind people here, Marimela, are us here, that we are dealing with a very big picture of people with doubtful characters, including, I say with respect, former head of NPA, Dr. Libya himself.
Well, Godfrey, listen to this clip. Listen to this clip because this is Kimang, what's the guy? Malcolm X. I had Godfrey Libya on the show who told me he's the one that sent a team to Katiso Molefe's house. And then I had Malcolm X on the show who then confirmed he was the one who called Godfrey Libya. Now listen to what Malcolm X told us.
On the day in question, that was 6 December 2024.
6
I
December.
received a call from someone who said someone that I know very well, who is one of my clients in my consulting business, who said he's the brother to Molefe, Katie Molefe. Then he said, look, Malcolm, I'm not around, but please do me a big favor. My brother just called me and said he's either about to be arrested or kidnapped and possibly killed by people who are masquerading as police officers at his house. Then he sent me the address. He directed me to the house. I drove there quickly. It was during the day. I didn't even have time to call for backup or tell the police about it. So I went there alone. As I was about to park, then I saw there were about 35 to 40 people in the yard, and there were many vehicles outside the yard. Then at the entrance, they wouldn't allow me to enter the yard. They said they are police officers. Then I said, okay, from which division? They said, why is it my business? Then I explained them that their brother to the owner of the house asked me to come through. On arrival, several of them were talking to me. Well, they were very rude, even refusing to show me their identification cards to prove they were policemen. Then I said, guys, this is very suspicious because there are people here wearing ballot levels, refusing to show me their identity cards. Some cars had no registration numbers. Then I said, if you are policemen, my name is Malcolm X. If you are policemen, please show me who I'm proof of that. So some said, hey, you can't be Malcolm. So I took out my ID and showed them that it's my real name, as in the name is Malcolm, surname is X. So I requested them to do the same. They wouldn't. Then eventually I said, can I speak to your commander? They said he's not available. At some stage, the commander came and said, yes, we are policemen. But some of them had already said, because I asked them from which division. Then I said, are you Hawks, Crime Intelligence, or SAPS? They said all that. And when they said all that, that's when I decided to call General Godfrey Libya from my cell phone. I called him. He picked up.
You hear that? He called Godfrey Libya. And please, remember the date, 6 December. Remember I said, I think the problem started in 6 December when the police were going to arrest Katie Molefe and they were moving in on Ket Matlala. And then on the 6th of December, that's when Malcolm X calls who? Godfrey Libya. And then what does Godfrey Libya say? Well, listen for yourself. When she got contacted by Malcolm X. So the source who called you, what interest does that person have in this matter? Is it only because they're friends of Molefe Or do they have any other interest in this matter?
I do not know their relationship. Firstly, I don't even know this Molefe. I never heard about him before. So it's not one of the famous names that when a person mentioned it, one would have picked it up. So I don't know what is his relationship with this individual. It is something that this person himself can indicate. I just took it that they are general friends. But to us, we just took this is an information from somebody who has been providing information in the past. It's not the first time that he's providing the information.
But then he's also friends with this man who was about to be arrested, and he has a relationship with the police because he's given them information before.
The informant, all the people in South Africa, those who want to fight crime from time to time, provide information.
So that's what Godfrey Libya was saying. I got a call from this informant who is now Malcolm X, because he said he's the one that called Godfrey Libya. This is on the 6th of December, and then Godfrey Libya says, let's send a team to KT Molefe's house, wherever this Malcolm X was, to check if really there's some people impersonating the Hawks. It's quite questionable. And all of this is happening on which date? The 6th of December. I'm going to play you more clips after the break to show you how there may be other politicians here. There may be other politicians here that were in this game. Zamklaka, Basil, I'll start with you. I'll come to you right after the break.
What is special about this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is that it returns to where Walk the Talk all started, where we'll be walking in the inner city, celebrating the resurgence of the city of Johannesburg and celebrating the people who make it special. You should take part in this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk because there's so much good stuff happening in the city of Johannesburg. The city is having a moment, and it's thanks to people and organizations who never stopped believing in the power and the magic of the city. So this year, I can't wait to be at the start of this momentous 702 Walk the Talk. I haven't been to Ellis Park in many, many years. So while I might not see you on the route, I'll definitely be at the beginning to see you off as you begin your journey through the inner city. To enter the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com and we'll see you there on the 26th of July.
So when you're at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, keep your eyes open because Mazda is bringing wonder to the 8-kilometer route. There'll be 5 Mazda wonder experiences, including a piano performance, a world of color, a bubble field, a Japanese garden, and the Mazda Wonder Hub. Visit one of the 5, then capture and share the wonder moment on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA, and you could win your share of 50,000 Rand. Mazda, where wonder awaits. T's and C's apply.
At the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, snap and share any one of 5 Mazda Wonder experiences using hashtag Mazda SA to stand a chance to win a share of 50,000 Rand.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the Talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
8 minutes before 10 o'clock. Zamklaka, you're calling us from Alexandra. Good morning. What are your thoughts?
Morning, Clement. Firstly, Clement, don't be concerned about us having our country in jeopardy. South Africans love their country. They will do anything to defend it. But Clement, with respect to news publications that, for example, the commentary by the opinion piece rather by Peter Detroit on News 24, there's been sort of a pattern over the last few months in as far as News 24's publications are concerned with respect to the current affairs in the country. Be it their stance or their opinion on March and March activities, and now their stance on not theirs. Of you clearly explained that it's an opinion piece of Peter Detroit, but News 24 cannot distance itself from Peter Detroit. They give him that platform. These people socialize. They ride together on weekends and certain occasions. They drink their sleep drifts together. They talk about the things that are happening. And so with that, Clement, I am registering my disappointment with the News 24, and I'm cancelling my subscription. And if they think that I am not one of them, my username there is 377.
You don't have to give your usernames, Zamklaka.
No,
you don't have to. But I think we get your point.
But I am done with them. Thank you so much, Clement.
Okay, we get your point. Thank you so much, Zamklaka in Alexandra. Mark, you are calling from Sentin. Good morning. Hi, Mark. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd just like to make a point about the News 24 piece.
Yes.
I think it's, it looks like on the face of it that Detroit is defending Andrea Johnson. But I think it's more, nuanced than that. I think what he's saying is that RDAC as an institution needs to be protected because of what happened primarily to the Scorpions.
Sorry, Mark, sorry to come in there. Did you read the article?
Yes, I did.
Do you know the handle of the opinion piece? The article says the headline is "The Crucifixion of Andrea Johnson." It doesn't say the crucifixion of IDEC. And also, if you've read the article, you may have seen many lines where he actually refers to Andrea Johnson and not necessarily IDEC. One of the lines says the commissioners have been approaching Andrea Johnson as if she's a criminal, like as if she's Ket Matlala. That's not IDEC. That is Andrea Johnson and her person.
But I think the subtlety of what he is trying to say escaped many people, which is that IDEC as an institution needs to be retained. It shouldn't be a case of Andrea Johnson might have exceeded her authority and overstepped the boundaries of what she's supposed to be doing or even broken the law. If that's the case, then she must go. But the institution itself, IDEC as an entity, needs to keep doing its work. Maybe what it needs is a new head, a new figurehead, but don't disband IDEC because you really need it given the
so why didn't the headline then say the crucifixion of IDEC or beware of the destruction of IDEC? It's very intentional about Andrea Johnson.
It was, I think, misplaced, and there's sometimes is the case because they.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mark, your line is dropping a bit there. You said what's misplaced?
Sorry, I'm in the garage of Santon at the moment. I'm saying I think the headline was off the mark because it's written by sub-editors. It's not written by
the article itself. So why is he focusing then on? And look, Mark, obviously you're entitled to your own interpretation, and I appreciate that. Your interpretation is that there are subtleties here that we're missing, and I'm arguing. Reading the article, and I've tagged it on Twitter. Please go check it out. Read it for yourself. And check it out if you haven't read it. The crucifixion of Andrea Johnson. And even in the article, like the author, Peter Detroit, goes on to talk about how they were questioning Andrea Johnson. In fact, he seems to even be criticizing the commissioners for doing their job, which is inquire. That's nothing to do with IDEC. Sure, another argument that he makes in the article is if you remove IDEC, then you're going to be left with an institution that still could be abused. That's what he's saying in the article. But the larger part of the article focuses on Andrea Johnson, also how she is treated at the Madlanga Commission. Nowhere in the article does he identify the wrong things that Andrea Johnson has done. How is that a fair opinion piece when you're choosing to block out the violations, possible perjury, unethical behavior on the part of Andrea Johnson, but instead you're looking at how she's being treated as if she's a criminal at the Madlanga Commission. Come on. It's 2 minutes before 10.
Find your next design obsession at Decorex Joburg. From the 30th of July to the 2nd of August, the Sandton Convention Centre becomes the destination for the latest in decor and design. Explore over 450 exhibitors across 5 levels, inspiring talks and live demos, plus the property show by Private Property. Download the Decorex app and plan your visit today. Decorex Joburg, 30th July to 2nd August. Tickets at decorex.co.za and at the door.
Progress builds, it moves, and it has a partner. That partner is Anglo-American. Together, we're building progress where it matters most across South Africa. With 1.6 billion rand unlocked for entrepreneurs through our Impact Finance Network, 58 billion rand invested through our Kumba Iron Ore business into infrastructure development, healthcare, community upliftment, and more. These are a few examples proving that when collaboration is real, progress moves faster. As a sponsor of this year's South African Investment Conference, we continue to work with our partners to unlock our country's full potential. South Africa has a partner. Anglo-American, mining potential, building beyond.
Walking the 702 Walk the Talk, well, for a limited time, the winner takes it all. Enjoy 20% off tickets to the global smash hit musical Mamma Mia, featuring Absa's greatest hits and pure feel-good fun. If it's the perfect reward, in fact, it is the perfect reward after crossing the finish line at the 702 Walk the Talk, right? This is valid for performances on the 20th to the 22nd of October at Monte Casino's Teatro. Use the promo code 702 and book your tickets now at ticketmaster.co.za. Offer ends on the 31st of July. Terms and conditions apply.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The Western Cape High Court is expected to hand down judgment this hour in a case in which President Cyril Ramaphosa is attempting to interdict parliamentary impeachment proceedings against him. He maintains the independent panel report is flawed and he wants the court to consider his arguments in that matter before Parliament continues with a Section 89 inquiry. This is related to his actions involving the storage as well as the theft of US dollars on his farm in Palapala in 2020. Opposition parties say Ramaphosa has delayed too long and the inquiry must continue. Lindsay Dentlinker has more.
It's been almost 4 years since Parliament rejected the independent panel report that President Ramaphosa now wants this court to review. In arguments made in court last week, his legal counsel Wim Trengove argued that crucial questions were not probed and the panel did not consider whether there's sufficient evidence to subject him to impeachment. Meanwhile, the African Transformation Movement, which tabled the impeachment motion against the president in 2022, says parliamentary processes can't be stalled and the Constitutional Court has already ruled the report is sufficient for an inquiry to continue. In the meantime, Parliament's Impeachment Committee, which has also opposed this interdict application, continues to work on terms of reference for the inquiry and to consider the appointment of an evidence leader. National Assembly Speaker Toka Didiza has elected not to oppose this application and says Parliament will abide by whatever decision is made today. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
The PIC has assured that retirement savings of public sector clients, including the Government Employees Pension Fund, are safe as the entity faces a governance crisis. Earlier this month, PIC CEO Patrick Dlamini and Chief Investment Officer August van Heerden were suspended following whistleblower allegations linked to a 411 million rand questionable payment. Last night, its chairperson David Masondo announced his resignation, saying this was in the interests of the country and the stability of the PIC. The PIC manages more than 3 trillion rand in assets on behalf of public sector clients. And speaking on 702 this morning, PIC acting CEO Batandwa Damoy said that the ongoing challenges don't affect its core mandate.
The client funds are invested under the mandates that are set by the clients themselves. And overwhelmingly, this is in the listed and the liquid instruments. And they are entirely separate from the PIC corporate affairs. And that's where the governance disputes are happening. And so these do not touch the custody or the management of these client assets.
A threatened provincial taxi shutdown in Gauteng has been averted following crisis talks between the provincial government and the sector. The industry says it has agreed to keep operating while negotiations continue over several disputes, including the issuing of operating licenses. Commuters have been assured they will not face any disruptions of taxi services. Kosikona Malingamnisi has more.
The talks followed growing tensions over issues affecting the industry, including operating licenses and other regulatory matters. Both sides have agreed to continue engaging with a follow-up meeting scheduled within the next 14 days to find lasting solutions. The taxi industry says it has chosen dialogue over disruption, stressing that commuters should not be caught in the middle of the dispute. It has apologized for any uncertainty caused in recent days, while reaffirming its commitment to providing safe, reliable, and uninterrupted transport services across the province. Eyewitness News.
And one of South Africa's oldest and most iconic tourism destinations and a treasured landmark of the Klein Karoo is making a comeback. The Kango Caves near Oudtshoorn will be officially reopened today. Severe weather conditions across the Western Cape resulted in its closure earlier this year. Lauren Isaacs reports.
The tourism sector has been hit hard by the devastating floods that struck the Garden Route and several other parts of the Western Cape in May and June. The main access road to the Kango Caves suffered severe damage, cutting off access. Following extensive work, Infrastructure MEC Tertius Simmers earlier this month announced the reopening of the R328, giving the Kango Caves the green light to welcome visitors once again. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,047.67 an ounce. The rand is at 16.84 to the dollar, 22.45 to the pound, 19.18 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $98.87 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange. There's also slow-moving traffic on the N1 South between Allendale Road and the Baklu turn-off. This is due to roadworks. There's also queuing traffic as a result of these roadworks on the N3 North from Marlborough Drive.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Western Cape High Court is expected to hand down judgment this hour in a case in which President Cyril Ramaphosa is attempting to interdict parliamentary impeachment proceedings against him.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
6 minutes after 10 o'clock, Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. I want to take you straight to the Western Cape High Court because the Judge Andre Lagrange, Matthew Francis and Diane Davis are delivering. In fact, there's a judge who's delivering on behalf of all three of them. They're delivering the judgment on Phala Phala in the president's interdict application. So let's take a listen. The judge has just started speaking.
An interim interdict. It proposes that the application be dismissed. The second judgment concludes that the president has made out a case for an interim interdict for the reasons set out in that judgment. It proposes that an interdict of a limited duration be granted. The third judgment concurs with the second judgment. The second judgment is the majority judgment. In the result, the following order is made. 1. Pending the determination by this court of the applicant's review under case number 2026/119192, the first and second respondents are interdicted from proceeding with the public impeachment hearings in terms of Rule 129 capital M of the National Assembly Rules. 2. The cost of the application shall stand over for determination by the court which hears the review. The judgment will be made available on case lines and safely shortly after we adjourn this court. That is our judgment, and we will then adjourn. The court adjourns.
All right, there you have it. That's Judge Andre Lagrange delivering judgment on President Cyril Ramaphosa's interdict application. And the breaking news there is that he has succeeded in his application to interdict the impeachment committee. The second judgment said the president set out a case successfully for an interdict. And the judges say that the interdict must be of limited duration that must be granted. So which means because the president's review application is going to be heard when? In September, then maybe the interdict could be up until, let's say, October. Because once the case is heard in September, then the judges go to deliberate. They come back with their judgment, and maybe they're going to say the president has succeeded or not in the review application, and then maybe that's when the interdict then, it gets lifted between now and whatever period when the president takes the matter on review. But what they have said, and we'll get some more details because they didn't really go into detail about the judgment, is that they are convinced that the president has set out a case for an interdict, but they also think the interdicts must be of a limited duration. That's the interdict that must be granted. So how long is it going to be granted for? And also, if you're saying it's granted for up until the president's review application is completed, then is it really limited? Because at the end of the day, the president was interdicting to stop impeachment from going ahead before the review application is completed. So why does it matter that it's limited when at the end of the day it gets dropped when the review application is completed? And maybe I need to read the judgment in order to understand this reasoning. But yeah, breaking news. The judges in the Western Cape High Court have decided and ruled that pending the determination of the president's review application, Parliament is interdicted from proceeding with the interdict. What are your thoughts? Give me a call on 011-883-0702. You can react to this on WhatsApp as well on 072-702-1702. I can't even ask you if you agree or disagree with the judges because they haven't given us the reasons why they've gotten to this case. But I have made a request already to some of the lawyers to send us the full judgment. And hopefully, even our EWN reporter, Lindsay Dentlinger, will take us through what exactly are the reasons that they have provided. So send me your thoughts on 072-702-1702. Do you agree with this conclusion by the judges that the impeachment committee must not do its work until the review application is done? Let me know. It's 11 minutes now after 10.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
All right, so Lindsay Dentlinger is our EWN parliamentary reporter who was in court when this judgment was delivered. Lindsay, thank you so much for coming through. I know that this has only just been delivered and we still don't have the reasons. But are we correct here to say that the judges in the Western Cape High Court have decided to rule that pending the determination of the president's review application, Parliament is now interdicted from proceeding?
Good morning, Clement. Yes, that is. You've just about summarized the less than 2 minutes here. Judge Andre Lagrange handing down that judgment on behalf of the three judges who heard this matter last week. But in essence, that is our understanding that the Section 89 inquiry is interdicted for what the court said would be a limited period of time, and that would be until the report that the president is disputing is reviewed by this court in September. To point out that the judges were not all in agreement. The first, we don't have an indication of which of the three judges came to the conclusion that the president had not made out a sufficient case for this interim interdict, but essentially the second and third judgments have now become the majority
the majority judgment. And
Yes,
okay,
yes.
here's my confusion, Lindsay. When they're saying that it's for a limited period of time, I mean, of course, an interdict by its very nature, it's for a limited period of time. So what do they mean by that? Because either way, if the president gets an interdict, it will be lifted after the review application. So why do they have to expressly, clarify it and define it like that?
I cannot answer you, Clement. I'm not proficient enough in the law to know that. And for me, what is unclear is whether it's only until that review application is heard or whether there is an outcome, because you will recall that the Constitutional Court said unless the report is reviewed and set aside. And we know that review applications, they can sometimes take years for an outcome. And so we will have to wait for the full judgment to determine whether it's only until such time as the review is heard or until there is an outcome on the review. But either way, what we know is that Parliament won't be able to proceed with what they're doing. I think for me also some confusion is whether, Parliament has been arguing that it's only doing preparatory work at this time in terms of sorting out the terms of reference, in terms of appointing an evidence leader. And one would presume that those kinds of preparations should not be impacted by what has been ruled here today.
Yeah.
So I think that is a point that also probably requires clarity from, once we've seen what the reasons are and maybe more detail of this judgment that's just been handed down.
All right, Lindsay Dentlinger, thank you so much for quickly coming through. Let me let you go so that you can also file. But that's what we're doing now. So we're waiting for the full judgment. What's important to note now is that the majority judgment has agreed with the president. Remember, there were 3 judges here. There was a minority judgment, one of the judges who dismissed the president's application for an interdict. But then there were 2 other judgments that agreed that the president really did set out a strong case for this. So as a result, pending the determination of the president's review application, Parliament is now interdicted from proceeding with the impeachment matters of that committee. So, as Lindsay says, will they still be allowed to do preparatory work and then maybe wait for the review application? And then once the application is reviewed and there's a judgment in that case, and then they start calling the witnesses? Or does this interdict even include the preparatory work? And we'll find out from the full judgment. But for now, that's what's happened. What are your thoughts? Give us a call on 011-883-0702. You can send your WhatsApps as well to react to this breaking news coming out of the Western Cape High Court.
Good morning, Clement. I think this court is overreaching, really. The jurisdiction of this court doesn't allow them to interfere with what the Constitutional Court has said. The Constitutional Court has said this process should continue unless set aside by the review, not by the review application, by the review itself. If it says no, listing this report must go to a review, then it can halt, not by the application that Ramaphosa has made. This court is overreaching, really. They don't even have reasons. I don't even want to wait for the reasons because they don't have them. How do you not give reasons after you've made people wait for a whole week for this judgment that you're giving us in 2 minutes? Something is wrong with our judiciary, really. Not because they've given what I don't like, but something is wrong, really.
Yeah, but to be fair on the judges, this is not the first time that judges come and they only read their judgments, what the minority and majority are, and then they send the reasons to the lawyers. This is not the first time that this happens. So I just think let's be fair on them, right? We've seen this before. It's a normal thing in the courts. It's not always that a judge is going to sit and read out a judgment like in Julius Malima's case, where it takes 2 days to read out the judgment. Sometimes they just tell you what they have decided on, and then they send reasons to the lawyer. So what I've done now is also contact some of the lawyers who are on the matter to ask for the full judgment. But I mean, it's going to be a public document. All the journalists will have it probably by the next 30 minutes. What's interesting, though, what you're saying is that the Constitutional Court judgment, and you're correct, it says, unless the Section 89 report is reviewed and set aside, this impeachment committee has to continue its work. That's what the Constitutional Court said. So now the lower court seems to be contradicting then that Constitutional Court directive that the impeachment committee must continue unless. But then, remember what we said is you have to also think about it and I think about it rationally, right? I'm not a lawyer, and I'm thinking, okay, if there's a process that continues, right? If there's a process that continues and the basis of that process is a flawed report, why would the process then continue? And then on the other side, the president then wins. Let's say the president wins the review application. The court finds that, set this thing aside, there are too many irregularities and just factual inaccuracies in the Section 89 report. Therefore, it's set aside. Then that means the committee in Parliament would have continued with work on the basis of a report that was flawed. So how do you balance that? I'm not sure there how you balance it. But clearly, the 2 out of these 3 judges have now decided this is the way to go. Okay? I'll come back to more of your thoughts on WhatsApp and calls. I want to bring in Lawson Naidoo now, who is the Executive Secretary of the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution, as we get some reaction and look at what's possibly to happen next now that we have this ruling from the Western Cape High Court. Mr. Naidoo, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on.
Let me start with your reaction. Obviously, it's still too early. We don't know the actual reasons in the minority judgment, in this majority judgment as well. But your initial reaction now, what do you think happens next?
Well, it's quite simple. The parliamentary process will be paused. Certainly that part of the parliamentary process which involves the actual inquiry itself. The committee is currently meeting. It met on Wednesday this week. It's scheduled to meet on Wednesday again next week. I don't think that this judgment will impact on that work, which is preparatory work in terms of appointing evidence leaders and finalizing terms of reference. So I don't think this judgment will impact on that part of the work. But obviously, as you say, there were 3 separate judgments issued in this case, 2 in favor of granting the interdict to the president, but we have yet to see the reasons. But that's the immediate impact. Parliament will not be able to continue with the substantive part of the inquiry.
Okay, and is there an opportunity here, do you think, to appeal? Because I would imagine while Parliament then continues with its preparatory work, they could decide, let's actually appeal the judgment.
Well, it's not possible to appeal an urgent interdict application judgment. So this is the end of that matter. And as we know, the president's main review application, which is the review of the report of the independent panel, will proceed again before the Western Cape High Court at the beginning of September. So this pause in the process is pending the outcome of that case. As I say, being heard in the early September, and hopefully judgment will be delivered soon thereafter, and that will give us finality in terms of the process as to whether or not, if the president is, of course, successful in his review application, then that will be the end of the matter for Parliament. If, of course, he's not successful, then the parliamentary process will
continues its work. Okay, and just to clarify, Mr. Naidoo, the judgment, I mean, yes, we still don't have the reasons, so we don't know what limitations exist for the committee, because the judgment says, pending the determination of the president's review application, Parliament is interdicted from proceeding with the impeachment. I mean, proceeding with the impeachment could include the preparatory work.
Well, it could. As I say, that's why we have to wait to see what the actual judgments say in that regard. But my view is that I don't think it should include the preparatory work. The president's application was directed at the substantive part of the inquiry, the calling of witnesses and the like, and I think that's where the focus of the judgment is likely to be.
Got you. Lawson Naidoo, thank you so much for joining us, the Executive Secretary of the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution. So, there you have it. Does preparatory work then is included? Is it included in this interdict? Or can the impeachment committee continue with its preparatory work but then they can start really the actual work of probing and calling witnesses after the president is done with his review application. What are your thoughts on this judgment coming out of the Western Cape High Court? It's 23 after 10.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
On Sunday, the 26th of July, celebrate the iconic rhythm that makes Joburg more than just a city. At the finish line of the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk, Babize Bonke, because this epic walk through the inner city all comes together with some of Josi's favorite artists, such as Babalwa M, Lebze the Villain, The Buhle, Nomfunde Mo, Sam Deep, Citizen Deep, and Manana. So after you've taken the scenic route, join us at the finish line for an afternoon of fun relaxation. 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the city of Johannesburg.
Because behind every blood donation is a future still unfolding. A child's first day at school, a first job, a dream business, a first drive. For 25 years, blood donors have made these moments possible. In just 30 minutes, give someone another tomorrow. Be the lifeline. Give blood. Give it tomorrow. The South African National Blood Service.
As a business owner, while you look for ways to save money, have you looked at saving on your business insurance premium? Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium for convenience stores, restaurants, beauty salons, pharmacies, and all other businesses. Make the smart business move and switch to Outsurance Business Insurance today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Johannesburg is a city on the move. On the move. And as a founding partner of Jozi My Jozi, Anglo American is proud to support fellow Joburgers this Sunday as the city unites for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Walk the talk, walk the talk, walk the talk. 702 Weekend Breakfast with Gugs Mhlungu will also be there live. So tune in this Sunday from 6 a.m. and experience the vibrancy of the inner city with Jozi's partner Anglo American, mining potential, building beyond on 702.
I'm ready to rock this talk.
More on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
It's 25 minutes after 10 o'clock. We are taking reaction from what's transpired in the Western Cape High Court this morning. We had a judgment earlier from the three judges. The judgment was presented to this morning by Judge Lagrange. So there were three judgments, and from Andre Lagrange, Matthew Francis, and Diane Davis. The first judgment dismisses the president's application to interdict the impeachment committee pending the review application in court, the review of the Section 89 report. The second judgment indicates that the president has set out a case successfully for an interdict, and so does the third judgment. It concurs with the second judgment, meaning that makes the second judgment the majority judgment. So the breaking news is Parliament can continue with the impeachment committee into the Phala matter and that Section 89 report. They can only do so after the president is done arguing in court for the Section 89 report to be set aside. If the president fails in reviewing and setting aside that report, then Parliament can just go ahead and continue with the impeachment committee work. If the president then is successful in setting aside the report, then that means then the impeachment committee is now null and void. It can't continue with its work, because how do you continue an impeachment process on the basis of a report that has been set aside? All right, I'm taking your calls, your WhatsApps to react to this. I want to play you now a voice note we got from Makashulegana, who is the chairperson of the impeachment committee. He did say that he will wait until he's studied the full judgment before he can join us for an interview. But here's a voice note he sent us as just his preliminary reaction to the judgment.
As the impeachment committee, we note the judgment of the Western Cape High Court that has interdicted the public hearings as it relates to the impeachment committee pending the review application by President Ramaphosa. We will abide by the decision of the Western Cape High Court, but we will study the full judgment to see which aspect of the work we can proceed with, because from what I heard is that there is the public hearings that we cannot proceed with. But once we have studied the full judgment, we'll give further updates in terms of the work that we have to do as the impeachment committee. Thank you.
So that is Makashule Gana, who speaks on behalf, who chairs, not just speak on behalf, he chairs the impeachment committee. So his interpretation of the judgment seems to be that, well, they seem to be interdicting the public hearings and not so much the other work that the impeachment committee had begun with, which is preparatory work. And if that is the case, then that's fine. There's nothing to worry about, right? If that is the case, I think there's nothing to worry about from the committee side. Because either way, so let's say the judgment found that the president, let's argue that maybe the president failed in his interdict application. The impeachment committee would still take some time doing preparatory work before they start with public hearings. Do you get what I'm saying? So even if the president had failed in this interdict application, the impeachment committee would still continue having hearings, trying to prepare for the actual public hearings, which probably the preparatory work would have gone on until, let's say, the first week of October. But then by the first week of October, we're likely to have had the judgment of the review application. So if this interdict only relates to the public hearings, then for the impeachment committee, they've got nothing to worry about, because they can then continue doing preparatory work before the public hearings, and then they wait for the review application judgment before they get into the public hearings. How do you see it? It's 10:30. Sviso has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. It's the breaking story this hour. The Western Cape High Court has interdicted Parliament's Section 89 impeachment inquiry for a limited period of time. This is until the same court has made a determination in the review of the report that's given rise to this inquiry. That application is due to be heard in September. A full bench today were not in agreement on whether President Cyril Ramaphosa had made out a sufficient case for an urgent interdict. The Public Investment Corporation has reassured clients that it remains stable despite its leadership crisis. Acting CEO Bathandwa Damoyi says governance challenges should not be confused with the management of clients' investments. The PIC is working to restore confidence after weeks of leadership upheaval, including the suspension of its chief executive and the resignation of board chair David Masondo. And the U.S. has imposed new tariffs on South African exports, escalating trade tensions between the two countries. Washington says the move is aimed at countries it believes are not doing enough to stop imports made by forced labor. South Africa has rejected those claims, arguing it already has laws in place to prohibit forced labor and the importation of such goods. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N1 South, we've got an accident right near the Baku interchange. Delays coming out of Allendale Road. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange. That's due to roadworks. As a result, traffic is also backed up just as you approach the Kilulis interchange. If you're traveling in Amalgam, there's queuing traffic along the M2 West. This is between the Crown interchange and Main Reef Road. Then out in Eldorado Park, queuing traffic on the Golden Highway. That's between Union Avenue and East Street. That's due to roadworks there. Then in Meadell, we've got an accident that's reported on the Golden Highway right near Chris Honey Road, causing about a 10-minute hold up there. Please try to avoid that one. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
As Joburg takes a big step towards a cleaner future, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment is joining you on this journey because a cleaner city is everyone's responsibility. So whether at home or in public spaces, always use designated bins, separate recyclable materials and never litter or dump illegally. And together, everybody can build cleaner, healthier and greener communities. Act now. Reduce waste and recycle. This message was brought to you by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment.
Aquele.
Aquele.
Aqueli.
Aquela.
Aquele.
Aquili.
Aquele.
No matter how you say it, one thing's for sure. Aquele is South Africa's most loved water brand, refreshing you with pure natural spring water and delicious flavored sparkling drinks. From every sip to every smile, thank you Mzansi for making Aquele a part of your everyday moments. Aquele, spreading joy to South Africa naturally.
Elevate your flying experience with Lift Premium. Enjoy even more space, comfort, and convenience with priority boarding, extra baggage allowance, and complimentary lounge access. Visit lift.co.za today.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. It's easy to apply. No medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
You've taken your small business far. Nedbank and 702 can help you take it even further.
How important is it that a campaign like Nedbank Business Ignite recognizes not only entrepreneurs, but people who solve problems?
It is important because being an entrepreneur can be a lonely journey. You go through a lot of challenges, and when you do have those victories, there's no one to recognize you. And this competition definitely does that, to recognize the good that the entrepreneurs have done, their achievements. And what we're doing differently this year, we actually decided to touch base with our past winners. We shot a vodcast, and people can go and actually watch those and actually catch up with our past winners to find out what they've done since winning the competition. I mean, my mind was blown in terms of what these guys have achieved.
See money differently. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
It's 24 minutes before 11 o'clock. All right, so we are just getting reaction from you and trying to make sense of the Western Cape High Court judgment. That's the breaking news this morning. The president has succeeded in his legal bid in the Western Cape High Court. I see Parliament's spokesperson Moloto Mutapo is there in court, possibly trying to outline what the next steps of Parliament will be. But we've already heard from the chair of the impeachment committee, Makashule Gana, who says, well, their interpretation of the judgment is that it only interdicts the public hearings and not so much the preparatory work, which means the impeachment committee can continue with its work of preparing, and then they just wait for the president's review application. And I mean, by the first week of October, I suspect, right, maybe even the end of the week, the end of September, I suspect that's when we would have the judgment on the review application. And if the president fails to set aside the Section 89 report, then Parliament can just then start effecting and hearing and doing public hearings. But for now, they can continue with the preparatory work. That's the interpretation of the chair of the impeachment committee. But we wait until we see the full judgment. But that's what's happening now. The judges have found that pending the determination of the applicant's review application, that's President Cyril Ramaphosa's review application, then Parliament is interdicted from proceeding with the impeachment. Now, listen to what the presidency spokesperson, Vincent Magwenya, had to say, reacting to this judgment.
President Ramaphosa notes the Western Cape High Court's granting today of his urgent application to temporarily interdict and pause Section 89 impeachment proceedings by Parliament. The President had asked the court that impeachment proceedings be paused until the court finalizes a separate application for a review of an independent panel's report following an incident at the President's game farm. President Ramaphosa reaffirms his respect of judicial independence and separation of powers enshrined in our Constitution. The President will continue to cooperate with and abide by processes of accountability.
It's 22 before 11 o'clock. Yeah, they were so quick to release the statement, but you can see that it's actually a standard statement that was probably put to bed much earlier, which is what any effective institution does, right? You must always preempt. Because even if the president had failed in his review, in his interdict application, the statement would still apply, because ultimately it says the president respects the judgment of the court. But anyway, that's the response from the president. What's yours? Lucas, you're calling us from Rustenburg. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. I believe justice is served.
Say that again?
I believe justice is served today.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Because there is a court of public opinion and the court that deals with merits in hand, because the opposition parties are just politicking with this matter. Because even the constitutional judgment, when you check on it, I believe the judges that ruled that gave that opinion, they did not look at issues because the evidence that they were based on, it was the stolen evidence.
Wait, the judges didn't look at what evidence?
The evidence that was left at the Constitutional Court, because the people that brought those pictures and all the stuff, how did they get those pictures? Because the public, the president's residence is a private space.
but Lucas, we're not dealing with the merits of the case, eh? You are now talking about the merits.
What is the hurry? What is the hurry, Clement? Because now the judgment is going to come around a month, maybe in September, and then what is the rush? Because it's only a matter of weeks that they can wait until, and then when the full judgment is agreeing or disagreeing, and if it's not agreeing with them,
then they continue or they proceed.
Yeah, because there's no hurry. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know if there's no hurry. I mean, the parliament, if it feels we need to hold the executive accountable now, they have to. In fact, there is a hurry because remember the Constitutional Court judgment said, you are directed to continue with the impeachment unless the review, the Section 89 report has been set aside. So that's the hurry. When the Constitutional Court says that, issues that directive, you don't just sit and wait for, let's just chill and then we'll pick this up in the next 2 months. No, you immediately do it. In fact, if I remember correctly, when I was reading the judgment, there was an immediacy to it. The Constitutional Court said you have to, as soon as now, like you literally have to continue with the impeachment. Send this Section 89 report to the impeachment committee unless it's been set aside. And that's exactly what Parliament did. It didn't waste any time. So that's the urgency of it. I guess now we've got a judgment that says, wait, let's wait for the president to review this report. And if the president succeeds, you can continue. I mean, you stop the process, but if the president fails, then you can continue with your impeachment committee. What's important, though, is the impeachment committee believes that, their interpretation is that it's the public hearings that are interdicted. So it's not so much the preparatory work, which means they can just continue with the preparatory work and then they start with public hearings once the review application by the president is done. Vuyo Zungula is the parliamentary leader for the ATM joining us on the line. Mr. Zungula, thank you for also joining us as we try and make sense of this judgment coming out of the Western Cape High Court. Good morning.
Morning, Clement, to everyone joining in.
What's your reaction? We still don't have a full judgment, but your interpretation so far of what the majority judgment has found?
It's unprecedented, firstly, and it is something that is deeply worrying, especially in light of the constitutional provisions of a Section 89. And I do want to emphasize this point. A Section 89 process, which is the impeachment process, deals with misconduct of a president. And one of the mechanisms of actually dealing with misconduct of a president is for him to be held accountable via this particular process. Now, to have a court that is saying a process to hold the president accountable must be halted, it is something that is deeply worrying. And the second issue here is that when it comes to the process that we had already embarked on, it is not a process that came as a result of just Parliament doing its functions. It came as a result of previous failures of Parliament. And then you had the Constitutional Court then instructing Parliament to say, you had failed or you made an error in dealing with this issue in 2022, therefore correct it in this particular way by holding the inquiry. Now, for the Court of the Western Cape to contradict its own judgment previously, on the Advocate Mkhwebane case, where they ruled that the separation of powers, therefore they cannot interfere with the business of Parliament. But in this particular case, they interfered in the business of Parliament by telling Parliament or instructing that Parliament must halt its proceeding in holding the president accountable.
So, yeah, and that's why we need to see the full judgment, because you want to see the reasoning of, okay, what makes this case then an exception to the rule? So if with the former public protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, when she herself was trying to halt the impeachment process and they said, no, you can't do that, then we need to see what reasons they are providing so we can compare the two. Because then what makes this an exceptional case? Is it because he's a president and the other one was not?
Indeed. We're still yet to get the judgment, but we're very interested in understanding as well, what is the court actually saying must be halted? Is it the part where Mr. Ramaphosa goes to the witness stand and has to face questions from members of the public? Because Parliament MPs are basically representatives of the public. Is the court now saying Ramaphosa cannot then answer to the public via the members of Parliament, or the court today saying continue doing the work, preparation in terms of deciding on the evidence leaders, in terms of reference, and the other aspects. However, Ramaphosa personally cannot come. So it's going to be interesting, but it's something that we're very, wary in understanding that. In fact, we do know a president holds political power. And because it holds political power, like we've seen in the previous institution or other institutions, like your public protector, your Reserve Bank, or your SARS, or even IPID and SABS, when they are explaining their view or what would happen in this case, they found no issues with something that the entire country, Clement knows. It can't be that you're going to have a president with undeclared dollars, and then when those dollars are stolen, there's going to be a rogue operation. All of these institutions saw no evil and decided to wash their hands clean. Now, if the courts now are in agreement with such misconduct, then it means the next president can easily say, look, this is what transpired when it comes to Ramaphosa, and so, let me follow in those footsteps.
And and this is where I get confused, and I've always been confused from the beginning. It's that the Section 89 report doesn't even apportion guilt on the part of the president. It says we just need to have a forum where these matters may be ventilated, and we can try get to the bottom of this and figure out whether there was a breach of oath of office or there was any wrongdoing. And it could very well be that after the impeachment committee, it clears the president. But the whole purpose of the Section 89 report is to probe further. But now it's almost like we're treating it as if, that report found the president guilty, and therefore it can't be deliberated on even by the committee until the president has gone and challenged it in court.
Yeah, indeed, because the impeachment is an inquiry. Even the name itself describes what is going to happen, what is happening. It's an inquiry. In an inquiry, you get the evidence, you get the information. Based on hearing or getting that evidence, you then make a determination whether there is guilt and there's no guilt. Now, to have the courts now basically saying, do not even get evidence for South Africans to see what happened in order to make a decision on the guilt or the innocent aspect. It is something that is worrying because South Africans, since 2022, they've never really gotten answers when it comes to Phala Phala. No one can confidently say the president is innocent or the president is guilty. Now, you can't then want to stop a process in order to ascertain those facts. And if the president knows that he's innocent, why is he refusing a platform in which he can clear his name to the entire South Africans that he's done nothing wrong? Why would he do that?
Vuyo Zungula, ATM parliamentary leader. Sorry, Vuyo, before you leave, in fact, where do you, because the chair of the impeachment committee said their interpretation is that it's the public hearings that are being interdicted. According to the work of the impeachment committee, so let's say there was no hindrance or any interruptions to the work of the committee, when were the public hearings expected to begin based on the preparatory work that has been done so far? Was it likely going to be in September, maybe beginning of October? How do you see it?
It's difficult to say now because the process starts with having the evidence leaders, and also those evidence leaders will need time to actually go through the volumes of evidence. So it's difficult to know how much time it would have taken.
Okay.
But we're going to read now the actual judgment to see what exactly has been interdicted.
Okay, got you. Vuyo Zungula, ATM parliamentary leader. I'm asking that question because, as I said earlier, if the public hearings were going to begin, let's say, end of September, first week of October, then the impeachment committee has nothing to worry about because it can continue with the preparatory work, because that's how they are interpreting the judgment, that it only interdicts the public hearings, but the preparatory work can continue. I wouldn't say that for sure because we haven't seen the full judgment. The full judgment may very well say, committee, don't even sit for meetings. Don't even prepare anything until the review application is done. After the break, I'll hear from you on 011-883-0702. How do you interpret what we have so far? The president has been granted the interdict to pause the impeachment committee until his review application is completed. It's 10 minutes before 11.
Sharpen your competitive edge and get ready for the next installment of the Tournament of Champions. Do battle on the biggest stage and prepare for an epic showdown as you fight for your share of the 500,000 Rand prize. Bet R2 or more on selected spinner zonke slots to blaze a trail to the top of the leaderboard and claim victory.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Johannesburg is calling. On Sunday, the 26th of July, join thousands of Joburgers for the 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank. Walk the historic streets of the CBD, starting and finishing at Ellis Park, and celebrate a city on the rise, growing, evolving, and full of possibility. It's more than a walk. It's Josie coming together. Register now for the 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk. Standard Bank is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
Incredible Mazda moments of wonder await around every scenic twist and turn at 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Walk the Talk. Because on Sunday, 26th July, you get to discover 5 Mazda wonder experiences on the 8-kilometer route from a stunning Japanese garden to a world of color. Visit one and share your wonder moments on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Then tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA, and you could win your share of 50,000 Rand thanks to Mazda, where wonder awaits. Official vehicle partner of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. T's and C's apply.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
8 minutes before 11 o'clock, we have been looking and analyzing and trying to make sense of the breaking news out of the Western Cape High Court. The court has granted President Cyril Ramaphosa the interdict that he sought. So that means that the impeachment committee's work pauses until the president's review application is done. Or maybe it means the preparatory work continues, but it's the public hearings that are paused. I think we'll find out when we see the full judgment. Abigail Ngobeze is an attorney and legal analyst on the line, who's joining us on the line. Ngobeni is the surname. Abigail, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Hi, good morning to you, Clement, and good morning to your listeners.
Still early days because we're still waiting for the full judgment, but what's your interpretation here? Because there seems to be confusion here about whether or not this judgment then interdicts the entire impeachment committee process, or does it mean the preparatory work can begin and then you only pause the public hearings?
It's very difficult to say at this stage, Clement. I have not had an opportunity to read the papers in their entirety to look at the exact remedy that was requested by the president. But what it means for me, it's saying to Parliament, hold a little bit until such time that the matter is ventilated in full. And if one was to really shift the focus a little bit, I would say appointing evidence leaders and all that, incurring further cost on this, does not necessarily take away a possibility that the report can be set aside. So if I was Parliament, I would wait. I mean, September is here to have this matter ventilated fully to be sure that their departure on this is premised on, of course, unchallenged foundation. So if they are to go now, appoint evidence leaders, incur further costs, and do all these necessary things, what if the report is set aside?
Yes, true. And for me, there's an intersection here, Abigail. So one, you're dealing with procedural fairness. I mean, if the president wins and sets aside this Section 89 report, and then the committee would have already done the work, the basis of that committee's work would have been on a flawed report, right? So procedural fairness, that's the first intersection. And then I'm thinking, there's also the constitutional obligation that Parliament has to hold the executive accountable. So the court can't really tell Parliament, don't hold the president accountable. So if Parliament feels we want to bring in the president to answer these questions, well, we have to bring the president to answer the questions because it's our job as Parliament to hold the executive accountable. And I think the third one for me is, how do we then look at the lower court versus the constitutional court? Because the constitutional court said, you need to go and continue with the impeachment committee unless or until the review is set aside. And as we speak now, the review is not set aside. So how do you then look at that directive from the constitutional court versus what the Western Cape High Court is now telling us?
But you see, in that particular report, in that particular judgment, you rightly said it in verbatim to say the Constitutional Court says that report is standing until it's set aside by a competent court. That is what has been happening. And of course, you would have recalled that the Parliament have already set up an impeachment committee. There is a chairperson. That is how Parliament have been working on that particular directive of the Constitutional Court. This is a step by the President to say, wait a minute, for me to get a substantial redress or to have my case fairly adjudicated upon, wait with these processes until such time that I have those recourse. And if you check we know that the Apex Court is the highest court in the land. But the interim interdict falls squarely within the process of a review itself. In its nature, it's an interim measure to the review process. So you must look at it holistically. But it does not in any way say that the Constitutional Court have been undermined. It's part of a legal process for somebody to fully protect their rights.
Got you. Abigail Ngobeni, the attorney and legal analyst, I appreciate your insights. Let's go to some WhatsApps.
Morning, Clement. Yes, if
the judgment of today is right, because we can waste our time by continuing with the impeachment, and then the president goes and win the review. Because even myself, I don't agree with the politicians who are busy saying, yeah, Ramaphosa must answer. Ramaphosa was never found guilty. They said there must be a prima facie evidence that maybe Ramaphosa violated the constitution, but there was no evidence of that. So I agree with the court of today.
Hi, Clement. Look, I think Parliament should just sit back and wait. Look, Ramaphosa has every right to take the case for review, and if that means interdicting Section 89, so be it. I don't see anything wrong with the judgment. And I think, as you said, we must all go read it first to understand the reasoning behind it. However, I think it's okay. When the time is right, this will continue if it continues. And maybe this is just, you can look at it as delayed repercussions, but it's going to happen at some point. So let's just wait.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, a delayed repercussion, because this is an interim interdict, right? Which means it's for the provision of just allowing this other process to continue. I guess the fundamental thing now is, can the parliament then continue with its preparatory work, like to appoint evidence leaders, and finalize the terms of reference, etc., etc., or does this interdict apply? It's a blanket interdict that says, don't even hold a meeting. That's what we need to find out when we receive the full judgment. It's a minute before 11.
Mavis, I wonder if I should sell my car. I'm not sure where to go.
Wanna sell your car, but don't know what to do. You don't have to go far, we come to you. If you're rolling on a 1.5 or a Lacquer 2.2, doesn't matter what you drive, we buy cars once you.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Upgrade your home at unbeatable prices. Design Plus Interiors, huge warehouse clearance sale in Wynberg is now on. Visit us at 17 6th Street, Wynberg for exceptional savings on quality sofas, bedroom suites, dining sets and accessories. This is your chance to get quality furniture at reduced prices. Stock is limited. Once it's cleared, it's gone. Design Plus Interior Furniture Warehouse, 17 6th Street, Wynberg.
When 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk happens this Sunday, we want to make your day as seamless as possible with the pack and shuttle service. The color of your wristband contained in your walk number pack corresponds with your designated collection point and grants you access to the shuttle. Monte Casino is red, Greenstone Shopping Center is green, Clearwater Mall is blue, and Gold Reef City Casino is white. Please ensure that you are at your designated pickup point at least 30 minutes before your intended departure time. Shuttle buses will depart from all pack and shuttle pickup points every 30 minutes, starting at 5:30 a.m. See you at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, Babi Zebonke, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. It's the breaking story this hour. The Western Cape High Court has interdicted Parliament's Section 89 impeachment inquiry for a limited period of time. This is until the same court has made a determination in the review of the report that's given rise to this inquiry. That application is due to be heard in September. A full bench today were not in agreement on whether President Cyril Ramaphosa had made out a sufficient case for an urgent interdict, but Judge Andre Legransi says the second and third judgments concurred.
Pending the determination by this court of the applicant's review under case number 2026/119192, the first and second respondents are interdicted from proceeding with the public impeachment hearings in terms of Rule 129 capital M of the National Assembly rules.
The Public Investment Corporation has reassured clients that it remains stable despite its leadership crisis. Acting CEO Bathandwa Damoy says governance challenges should not be confused with the management of clients' investments. The PIC is working to restore confidence after weeks of leadership upheaval, including the suspension of its chief executive and the resignation recently of board chair David Masondo. Damoy stressed that the corporation's internal governance issues are separate from its core investment business, saying asset management operations continue uninterrupted.
What matters right now is what we do next. The process is underway. They exist precisely so that we can resolve all these issues.
Damoy has also welcomed the Financial Sector Conduct Authority's investigation into the PIC.
FSCA must exercise its mandate independently, and as PIC, we respect that.
The U.S. has imposed new tariffs on South African exports, escalating trade tensions between the two countries. Washington says the move is aimed at countries it believes are not doing enough to stop imports made by forced labor. South Africa has rejected those claims, arguing it already has laws in place to prohibit forced labor and the importation of such goods. Annalita Fandese reports.
The United States has officially implemented new Section 301 tariffs on South African exports, imposing a 12.5% duty on affected goods entering the American market. The tariffs took effect today after the U.S. concluded that South Africa has not adequately enforced measures to prevent the importation of goods produced through forced labor. South Africa has been placed in its highest tariff category alongside countries including China, Japan and South Korea. The Trump administration says the tariffs follow months of investigations, public hearings and consultations with dozens of governments. The move marks another setback in trade relations between Pretoria and Washington, with concerns that the additional costs could reduce the competitiveness of South African exports in one of the country's key international markets. Annalita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
And researchers from Africa and Europe have launched a 46 million rand project led by Stellenbosch University to improve TB diagnosis using artificial intelligence. The initiative combines AI-powered chest X-ray screening with a simple prick blood test to help detect TB more accurately. The World Health Organization estimates that about 2.5 million of the 10.7 million new TB cases recorded globally each year go undiagnosed. Carlo Peterson has more.
Project coordinator Professor Stefanus Malherbe from Stellenbosch University says the goal is to make TB diagnosis faster, more accurate and more accessible, particularly in communities with limited healthcare services.
The hope is that combining these two tests will improve the accuracy and really push it over the line to make a big impact in the fight against TB.
Malherbe says early results show a 20% improvement in TB diagnosis compared to existing AI screening methods. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,047.67 an ounce. The rand is at 16.84 to the dollar, 22.45 to the pound, 19.18 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $98.87 a barrel.
There's slow-moving traffic on the N3 North. This is just as you come out of the Geldenhuys interchange. While traveling on the M2 East, to expect delays approaching the Geldenhuys interchange as well. And then traveling in Sharon Lee, we've got delays on Malibongwe Drive. In fact, out of Sharon Lee, an accident reported right after Northumberland Avenue, causing delays.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 23 degrees. The breaking story in EWN this hour: the Western Cape High Court has interdicted Parliament's Section 89 impeachment inquiry for a limited period of time.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, Sanbonani, good morning. Welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you so much for staying with us here on 702, and thank you for all your thoughts, analysis, and contributions in the previous hour as we were trying to look at this judgment out of the Western Cape High Court, where the president has been granted the interdict that he has been seeking. So the Western Cape High Court has now ruled that the president has successfully made a case to interdict the impeachment process. And I guess what's important to clarify now from the full judgment is whether this is a blanket interdict affecting the entire impeachment process, including the preparatory work, or if it only applies to public hearings like your testimonies, etc. And we'll find out that from the full judgment. It's just been sent to me, so I'm going to start going through it right after the show today. It's time now for our relationship feature.
Relationship issues
Relationship talk.
on 702.
On our relationship feature today, I want us to talk about something we rarely consider, about how we even have attachment styles, or how we engage in romantic relationships, or even the kind of people we want to be with romantically. I want us to discuss how our parents have impacted and shaped our romantic relationships. Like, have you ever stopped to think about how the way you were raised by your parents and how that affects your love life today? Because from a young age, our parents teach us how to talk, how to act, and even how to love. They are the first people we look up to, and they are our primary model of standard when it comes to romantic love, right? We might not be aware of it, but the way we interact with them could also have a strong impact on our own relationships. And for some, those lessons become a solid foundation for healthy relationships. But sometimes the things we learn from our parents don't quite fit what we want or need in our own relationships. And that's why they can leave invisible wounds that continue to shape the partners that we choose, even shape the way we love, and even the fears that we carry into relationships. So what if what we assume to be our romantic challenges are simply bad luck or poor choices, are rooted in patterns we inherited without even realizing it, right? Can we recognize those patterns? Can we unlearn them and maybe build healthier relationships than the ones that we've witnessed growing up? That's really what I want us to probe this morning. And we may need to start figuring out how their lessons impact our connections with other people. I want to hear from you this morning if you have maybe had your own parents who have shaped relationships for you. Like, have your parents' relationships or relationship affected the romantic choices that you have made as an adult, right? Did they shape your choice of a partner? Give us a call and share your experiences on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 0727021702. Dudu Hlabati Matonsela is a relationship coach who's joining us in studio. Dudu, welcome back to the show. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm all right. So, how often do we look to our parents to try and understand where we are in our romantic relationships and why we love the way we love and why we want to date certain people? Is there always a correlation?
There's definitely a correlation. There's a saying that says, give me the child before they're 7 and I'll show you the man or the woman, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So unfair.
No.
That system in itself. I was young, I had no control, and now that has shaped who I am as an adult.
Exactly. When I wrote my book, somebody said, why did you start with, because my book starts with that, with your childhood conditioning, social conditioning. Why do you do the things that you do, and why do you make the choices that you make? Somebody asked me why, and I said, so many people walk around unconsciously not knowing why they do what they do. And you're shaped by so many things. The narrative you were presented as a child. And sometimes it just goes beyond your parents. You grew up in the township. I remember I grew up with this narrative, you don't find a man on a tree. That kind of thing. It's like you fight for a man type of situation, right?
Because that's what you were conditioned to believe growing up.
And how many people go through life whereby they either are accepting of being side chicks or, are more likely to fight the side chick. Because deep down they believe that, you fight for a man. It's like you don't find a man walking down the street and so forth. There's so many things where you've seen how your parents interacted with each other. You've seen how your uncles and your aunts received love, at the receiving end. When I was young, as much as I didn't grow up much in the township, but my grandmother's house was in the township. And Fridays I used to go there and just listen to the girls and the stories who were like 5 or 6 years older than me. And some of them being beaten up was just a normal thing in life, right? And luckily I had just a different reality. But, I saw some of them where later in life they took this thing with because they believed that, if you're with a woman who believes that, they believe that a man who's beating you up beats you up because he's self-correcting. It's like scorning a child, right? And they believe he's not self-correcting, he's correcting you. And he does that because he loves you,
How
right?
many times have we had that?
Yes, and to undo that psychology, especially if you don't know where it comes from. So the way in which you processed love when you were growing up shapes the idea of what you expect from your partner.
Sure. I'm actually just remembering now. I mean, I grew up witnessing violence at home. But also the one thing though I want to point out is that I used to see whenever my mom would have an argument or there's a fight with my dad, she would not speak to him for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to look at myself today as an adult, and I've got an avoidant sort of personality. I hate conflict. I don't want to, in relationships, I'm the guy that just doesn't want to talk for 2 days. And whenever I look back, I'm like, wait, I remember when I was young, my mom would not talk to my dad.
Exactly.
So that, And I also remember growing up, there was advice from like the older people in the family who used to tell like my cousins who were female and were dating that, you don't ask like the men where they come from. You respect the men and you don't leave the men just because they're cheating on you.
Exactly.
Can you imagine you growing up with that?
Yes, and that's the reality, and probably it's a reality they adopted from their parents.
Yeah,
right?
Libo, now they took it somewhere else.
If you look at attachment styles, so you talk about, being an avoidant, the theory suggests that you're more likely to end up with somebody like your primary caregiver. And they specifically use the word primary caregiver because let's say, for example, you had an emotionally available mother. Even as a guy, because your mom was a primary caregiver, you're more likely to end up with an emotionally unavailable partner because that's how you received love as a child and that's how you associate love, right? And if you look at the attachment style, I mean, if you look at especially like the anxious, if somebody doesn't know the attachment style, just Google it, but there's like 4 type of characters. But if you look at the attachment, the anxious type, right, they usually had a parent where they received inconsistent attention or love from the parent. And the reason why when the partner does not answer their phone, after 3 attempts, a normal person after like 1 or 2 attempts is like, I'll leave you a message, you'll call me when you're free.
I actually think 1 attempt is enough, guys. Please, let's not be childish. Why are you calling me 6 times? Clearly I'm busy or I'm not next to my phone.
I once posted this and I was teaching about, on social media, I was teaching about attachment styles. And there were, I think, I kid you not, probably 30 or something women who were confessing that, no, they'll do 20 missed calls in 5 minutes. And some of them was like, is this the reason why I got dumped? It is.
That's quite problematic.
But they are anxious, right? And because as a child, when the primary caregiver left, they didn't know if the person was going to come back, right? So their idea of love is that I have to cling on to the person that I love. Because if I don't know when I'm going to see this person again, right? Same as an emotionally unavailable person, right? The emotional available person was so disappointed by a parent or a primary giver at some point that feelings were just too much for this person. And they were like, if I interact with people, I have to shut out feeling. Love is scary. Feelings are scary. So they go into the world. Yes, they have the desire to be loved. They don't know how to be vulnerable because vulnerability is scary. Because I tried to be vulnerable with a parent, and that parent disappointed me so much.
Or you saw your mom or dad try to be vulnerable with their spouse.
Exactly.
And they were just so disappointed consistently, and now you're scared to.
Or they were labeled, or they were even beaten up because of their vulnerability. And that's what shapes us as human beings and what shapes our expectations and also the decisions we make around lovers. And hence why it's so important when you have a child to practice conscious parenting. Because we're not perfect, but if you're conscious about the fact that if I show up in a certain way, I am teaching my child to accept this or to express love in this way in the future.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. This is a conversation I'll have with God one day when I've transitioned. But I do want to ask, because I just think it's such an unfair system to
Yeah.
have a child who is powerless literally have their entire life shaped by what they experience between 0 ages and 7.
Yes.
You know, and I'm just thinking there are so many things we're going through as adults today. How we choose the lovers, like how we attach, as you say. That's the foundation of that is from how you experience things when you were a child. I mean, I'm just thinking now, like, what does it tell us if parents' relationship make you excited about marriage or fearful of it? Because there are people who, their parents love each other and maybe they're like, oh, I really want to get married. But the other people who have seen the upside of marriage and they're like, I never want to get married. Can that influence you looking at how the marriage of your parents was conducted, and then it influences whether you believe in this institution or not, or if you want to do it?
Think about it. Most girls marry their fathers, absent or not. Must I repeat it? Most girls marry their fathers.
It's too
absent or
stinging.
not. Right? And what happens is that the way in which you see your parents relate, and relate within the institute of either a structured relationship or marriage itself, makes your conclusion about a relationship is based on that. So most of people who come from a marriage where their parents had a healthy relationship and so forth, marriage is not a scary thing, right? And when I say healthy relationship, whereby you saw all sides of your parents, sometimes you saw when they were angry at each other, but the way in which they went about resolving conflict or even relating to each other and even showing affections to each other was very healthy, right? While if someone also comes from a marriage whereby, especially if that marriage was very toxic, or one person, was at an extreme disadvantage by being married to that person, they're more likely to form a conclusion. But then there's the other end, whereby people don't come from homes where their parents were married or there wasn't a healthy marriage. But the desire to have a family structure and a functioning family structure is so much that it drives their desire to get married. And sometimes they don't apply the right filters when choosing a partner because they're so concerned about establishing the thing they never had as a child.
That's the desperation. And you end up making mistakes.
Exactly.
And you end up taking nonsense because for
Exactly.
you're thinking, I just want to build this nuclear family that I never had.
Exactly.
Oh, guys, life is tough.
It's very deep.
Yeah, okay. Let's take this WhatsApp voice note on 0727021702. How have you been shaped by the relationship you observed at home? Were you impacted by how your parents loved each other and interacted with each other? How has that impacted your romantic relationship?
Yo. Morning, Clem. It's TK from the South, my man. The topic you have today is triggering me. I'm not sure in a good or bad way. What your guest is saying, what an eye-opener. Yes, you are an eye-opener. So my mom is a panic mechanic. And I always tease that my elder sister, who the two are very good friends, also is a panic mechanic. I'm now listening to you and realizing that my ex was a panic mechanic. Just like my mom, she would call me 4, 5, 7, 8 times in 2 minutes, knowing fully well the type of job I do. And I'm not the one to switch off my phone, but she would call persistently, Anyway, I just thank you for this. Thanks for a great show. Cheers.
Yeah.
My mom's biological mother died when she was 3 months old from cancer. So we have cancer that runs in the family.
So this is when your mom was 3 months old?
My mom was 3 months old. And my mom was also raised by a very strict grandmother, right? Who also was grieving the death of her daughter, right? So my grandmother was emotionally unavailable. My mother, because the bond, the attachment, I mean, if you read up about why women need to nurse their kids and why you need to give a period and the spacing of your kids in order to bond with your child, because that bond was broken. For my mom, it was abandonment. Unconsciously, she didn't know this as a child. And she became emotionally unavailable. And then she raised us. And she raised me. And I'm emotionally unavailable. And I can tell, everybody says, oh, you make such an honest and objective dating coach. I'm like, you can cry in front of me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to connect with your emotions. That's why I'm able to become objective. But then you enter a marriage. I enter a marriage where my husband's love language is words of affirmation. My husband tells me he loves me all the time. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, but you told me last week.
Yes, that's
and
me.
Why should I tell you today? And then I love you because and so forth and whatever.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn. Yeah. And, with my son, I tell him I love him every single day. My husband says, you're going to make him a mama's boy. I'm like, no. I need to remind myself to tell my son that I love him every day. Because if I don't, it will not come naturally to me.
Oh, my goodness.
And God works in mysterious ways, because then also my child is very affectionate, and words of affirmation, and has surrounded me with 2 men who just love the idea of being told and you being vulnerable and opening.
Does it ever overwhelm you, like the too much love, or where you think?
It is like, there are times where I always say the first couple of years of dating my husband, I actually wanted to run away.
Yeah,
because
it was just like too much.
I've never had
I'm sure your friends were like, "Ooh, love bombing you," because they're like, "Oh, how can
no?"
a guy
My
be
friends
so
were like,
expressive?
"You need help."
Yeah,
they were like, "We wish you had what you had."
That's fascinating, because I'm that guy that will tell you I love you like on your birthday. Maybe on the anniversary, Christmas, on New Year's after the midnight. I'm not you'll hear it a few times, but that doesn't mean I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick ad break. When we come back, more WhatsApp voice notes and your calls. Tell us your stories.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
You're getting 3 million rand for the World Cup. I don't know if the ministry or the minister's been in touch with you. Have they indicated whether that 3 million comes out of your every 3 years cyclical allocation, or is this a once-off grant to cover a very specific need?
We've also asked the same question. Is this part of the new allocation, or is this something separate outside of the allocation?
Okay, and you haven't had a response to that?
Not yet.
What kind of money do you think you need to keep the sport alive?
For us to compete at the highest level, close to 20 million rand.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
When 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk happens this Sunday, we want to make your day as seamless as possible with the Park and Shuttle service. The color of your wristband contained in your walk number pack corresponds with your designated collection point and grants you access on the shuttle. Monte Casino is red, Greenstone Shopping Center is green, Clearwater Mall is blue, and Gold of City Casino is white. Please ensure that you are at your designated pickup point at least 30 minutes before your intended departure time. Shuttle buses will depart from all Park and Shuttle pickup points every 30 minutes starting at 5:30 a.m. See you at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
It's Winter Carnival at Food Lovers Market. Save big with pork packs at only 59.99 per kilo. Delicious pork spare ribs at 89.99 per kilo. Large golden bananas at 12.99 per kilo. 3 125-gram punnets of farm fresh blueberries for 50 Rand. And 4 1.5-litre bottles of Coca-Cola Original Taste for just 60 Rand. Valid until Sunday, 2 August, only at Food Lovers Market.
The world's best male and female paddle players are coming to South Africa. The historic Premier Paddle Pretoria P1 will be at Sunbet Arena Times Square from 26 July to the 2nd of August. Expect world-class action, unbelievable energy, premium hospitality, and an atmosphere unlike anything South African sport has seen before. This is Africa's biggest paddle tournament ever, and tickets are selling fast. Don't miss your chance to witness the sport's biggest stars in South Africa. Get your tickets now at primemediaplus.com.
Johannesburg is a city on the move. And as a founding partner of Josie My Josie, Anglo American is proud to support fellow Joburgers this Sunday as the city unites for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. 702 Weekend Breakfast with Gugs Mhlungu will also be there live. So tune in this Sunday from 6 a.m. and experience the vibrancy of the inner city with Josie's partner Anglo American, mining potential, building beyond on 702.
I'm ready to rock this talk.
More on primemediaplus.com.
Relationship issues?
Relationship Talk
on 702.
28 minutes after 11 o'clock. Let's start with your WhatsApps.
Good morning, Clem. Look, I'd like to remain anonymous, but wow, what an eye-opener today's show, and it makes me think a lot about how I grew up and what shaped me to the man that I am today. All those scenarios of marriages, I was also part of where I grew up from at my granny's house and then before I moved to my parents' house, everything was going well. And then immediately got into a toxic, I was staying with them, it was toxic, and then immediately after my dad left and my mom passed on, then it seems like the way that I go about parenthood and the way that I go about relationships, it seems like I'm dealing with things that way, is that I'm not vulnerable because I'm a man, it's everything, it's me, and I'm dealing with people because after the fight, my mom and my dad wouldn't speak to each other for quite a while. So I'm also, once you start bickering as my partner, I'll just go into a silent mode. Great show, man. Keep it up.
Yeah. Listen, I'm also learning so much just about me. I was saying to you off air to do that. Like if you grew up and you've never seen your parents become even like in affectionate.
Yeah.
Because then does that also affect you? Because I don't remember my dad even telling my mom I love you or vice versa.
Because then you associate affection only with the bedroom. And when you do it outside, it's almost like this is taboo. It's not meant to be done.
In fact, I remember once on a passage when we were much older, I think I was in high school or was it secondary school? And I remember my dad tickling my mom on the passage.
And you thought that was
I
so
was
weird.
disgusted. And I was like, oh my God, why is he doing that? Because I've never seen them be playful and be lovers like they were parents to us.
Let me tell you, my son the other day, we said, Papi, why do you think we have rules? He said, so that we don't slap each other's butts.
That's a fair.
I keep telling my husband, stop slapping my butt, because we've actively decided that we're going to be
in front of the
affectionate
kids.
so that it's normal for them and they know what healthy affection looks like.
But what about, do you sometimes disagree in front of the kids so that, that's the nature?
There's the other time where I was so upset at my husband because he did something and they were in the car and I said to them, I'm going to shout at Daddy right now because Daddy is wrong. And I called Daddy and I shouted at Daddy. And afterwards, we workshopped the solution. I was told how wrong I was by them, how I could have been kinder, how could this and this.
But that's good because it opens up a conversation, Okay, so it's 11:30. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. We'll continue this conversation afterwards. Maki, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. We begin with in the Western Cape, where the High Court has interdicted Parliament's Section 89 impeachment inquiry for a limited period of time. This until the same court has made a determination in the review of the report that's given rise to the inquiry. That application is due to be heard in September. The impeachment inquiry seeks to investigate the president's conduct regarding the theft of $580,000 at his Parapara farm in 2020 after a report found he may have committed serious violations and misconduct. The Public Investment Corporation has reassured clients that it remains stable despite its leadership crisis. Acting CEO Bathandwa Damoyi says governance challenges should not be confused with the management of clients' investments. The PIC is working to restore confidence after weeks of leadership upheaval, including the suspension of its chief executive and the resignation of board chair David Masondo. And the City of Cape Town's Human Settlements Department is urging residents not to share personal information with or pay anyone on social media who claims they can assist with city housing applications. The warning follows a social media notice circulating where fraudsters claim they can access the city's housing database and fast-track applications at a fee. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, travelling in Germiston, we've got delays on the N3 North. This is between the Geldenhuys Interchange and Van Buren Road, while on the N12 West, we've got delays just as you approach the Giluli's Interchange. There's also slow-moving traffic on the N3 North between Marlborough Drive and the Bakru Interchange, also because of roadworks there. So please be on the lookout and approach with care. And that's your last update for me, or rather from me. Please stay tuned for more at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk happens this Sunday, we want to make sure your day is as seamless as possible with the Pack and Shuttle service. The color of your wristband contained in your walk number pack corresponds with your designated collection point and grants you access on the shuttle. Monte Casino is red, Greenstone Shopping Center is green, Clearwater Mall is blue, and Gold Reef City Casino is white. Please ensure that you are at your designated pickup point at least 30 minutes before your intended departure time. Shuttle buses will depart from all Park and Shuttle pickup points every 30 minutes starting at 5:30 a.m. See you at the 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk. Babi Zambonke, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
Pedestrians, winter days are shorter. That means more walking in the dark. If drivers can't see you, your life is at risk. Wear bright or reflective clothing, add reflective strips to your school bag, and use a flashlight when walking at night. Walk in groups where possible. Being visible is not just a choice, it's your protection. Be bright, save your life this winter. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials. It's the flavor! Real reviews by real people. Nadine from Belito is no scallop, but she did call the flame-grilled half chicken in Nando's unique peri-peri recipe with a single side of your choice for $125 dope. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, sorry. Relax, Nadine. The only thing we're busting here is your hunger. Okay? Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Because behind every blood donation is a future still unfolding. A child's first day at school, a first job, a dream business, a first drive. For 25 years, blood donors have made these moments possible. In just 30 minutes, give someone another tomorrow. Be the lifeline. Give blood. Give it tomorrow. The South African National Blood Service.
What is your business here?
You didn't start your business to play it safe. You took the leap, made the bold move, and now it's time to make the next one. This week, 702 and Budget Business Insurance are giving small businesses the chance to win their share of 100,000 Rand with the Budget BizBucks Bonanza. Enter on PrimeMediaPlus.com. Tell us about the boldest move you've ever made in your business and what your next one will be. Then get an obligation-free Budget Business Insurance quote. 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa could call you. Budget Insurance is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's apply.
Relationship issues?
Relationship talk.
On 702.
25 minutes before 12 o'clock. Have you ever stopped to think about how the way you were raised by your parents affects your love life today? That's our conversation this morning, and that's because from a very young age, our parents teach us how to talk, they're teaching us how to act, and they even teach us how to love. So they're the first people that we look up to. They are our primary model or standard when it comes to romantic love. So we might not be aware of it, but the way we interact with them could also have a strong impact on our relationships. And I'm asking you this morning how your parents' relationship has affected your own love life. How has it affected your own romantic choices? And did they shape your choice of a partner? Did they shape your perseverance, quote unquote, in relationships? Because that's what you saw from your parents. Maybe you're avoidant because you saw that one of your parents was, or both of them were, whenever they had an argument. Or maybe you're not vulnerable to even say, I love you, because that's not something you picked up growing up at home. So how have you been affected? Please share your experiences with us. Let's go to Lifuko now, who's calling us from the Northwest. Lifuko, good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, man. How are you?
No, man. You know, sometimes I feel like the way we demonize, I don't want to call it our cultures or whatever, like the lady was saying at the beginning of the show, you know, those things about don't look at your man's phone, blah, blah. Those marriages lasted, Clement. Like today's marriages don't last. So where's the balance? Well, like, where, you know, back then, all these negative things we say about our cultures, and like you say, your mom walking away, maybe it wasn't a good. Those marriages last.
Were they happy though, Lifuko? Because I can tell you right now,
yeah,
I don't think that I've seen her happy. I think she decided maybe her choice was, I'm going to stay and make it work because I was told by my parents that you don't divorce. But I can tell you right now, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I know what a loving relationship looks like. I know what a person who's in love feels and look like. And I wonder if those people who were just keeping the marriages going, they were keeping it for the sake of doing that because that's how they were conditioned, or if they were happy. Unless you're suggesting to us, Lufuko, that happiness and love doesn't matter. Just persevere and stay with your man or woman for the next 50 years.
No, Clement. Before I had a child, I had that thing, or I'll walk away when. But once you have kids involved, Clement, and it depends at what age they are when you have your issues in your relationship. You actually think of them first before you make any decision. So if there's only you and that partner, it's easier, Clement, to walk away. But when there's a child involved, Clement, no matter what the other person does, I'm telling you, it is not easy to just say, you know what,
True.
I'm going to walk away and look at my happiness.
True.
Hence I'm saying, Clement, those things, no matter how negative you might want to look at them, they actually kept the family together.
But that doesn't mean they were not toxic, Lefoko, because some of those lessons were when your man beats you up, take it. Is that normal?
No, you see, those. No, Clement, there are certain things.
Okay, if your man cheats, you can't leave them. Is that normal?
It's not that it's normal, Clement, but it happens. And if it happens, when you are single and there's only the two of you, then fine, do what you have to do. But if you are being selfish about it, if this guy or this lady is a good parent to your child, takes care of your child, does what they have to do for the child, and now you want to leave because you are being selfish, you're being hurt, then the reason is not good enough.
Okay, Lefuko, what is the good enough reason then? Thank you for your contribution, Lefuko, in the Northwest. I'm sorry, guys. I don't subscribe to the idea that you have to stay in a relationship because of the kids. Of course, you must consider the consequences of your movement. But you can't say to someone who has faced abuse, for instance, from their husband or their wife and say, just stay because, in fact, you are destroying your children because you're exposing them to your toxicity of your relationship for the next 10 years. And when they grow older, then they become adults and they're affected by how you raised them under that toxicity.
Yeah, so, when I listen to arguments, and there's a lot of people who subscribe to Lefuko's school of thought, and I can understand why. Because the data point they fail to bring in is why people stayed and respected the institution of marriage and what the institution of marriage meant to them. To a lot of women, the institution of marriage meant survival, right? So they didn't stay out of love. Some of them even entered the institution without expecting love. It was merely survival. Women could not earn an income. At a certain point, if your husband died and you wanted your kids to be able to have a decent life, you would even consider being a second wife and so forth, right? And now what we have to think about is that the institution of marriage represents something very different. And then now it's on the basis of emotions and romanticism. I love you, I feel good being around you, you treat me well and so forth. Because women don't have to enter marriages to survive now. So if you're going to treat the institution of marriage as a survival mechanism for females, you will dismally fail in modern times. And I think that's what he's unable to transfer in terms of the thinking then and the thinking now, is that the reason why the marriage rate seemed successful back then was that because a lot of women had to be married in order to navigate this world, right? But you cannot apply the same principles and thinking the execution of those principles in modern times, and simply because now marriage represents something different, and you have to think differently about marriage in order for you to make somebody else happy.
Yeah. Natalie, you are in Pretoria. Good morning.
Hi, Clement. How are you today?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Good. Great show. I just wanted to give a perspective from a person that basically was raised from a single parent household, and how that dynamic basically affects your decision making in choosing a partner. For instance, because of the fact that sometimes you are raised by parents that are, for instance, my mother was not necessarily available emotionally, and I understand the dynamics of life, that creates a situation where as a man, then I now find it very difficult in terms of looking for a partner while not trying to find things that I didn't get from my mother. I don't know if that makes sense. For instance, I remember when I was younger, I went to therapy and they told me that I was too codependent, right? And then, fine, you try to fix that part because you don't want to lose yourself in a relationship. And also another thing, you don't want to depend too much on your partner for emotional support. And then after that, I guess it just became an extreme. Now it just becomes an avoidant. I'm now an avoidant, and I've realized it in my relationship that I'm basically avoidant of certain situations. And I think it becomes a tricky part of navigating those elements without having to, number one, become too codependent and also being avoidant while also looking at the dynamics that made you the person that you are today.
True. Yo, I think I must start the avoidant group and we can all hang out together, Natalie, and just help each other heal. Thank you for your call, Natalie in Pretoria.
Shem, I'm going to get Natalie out of his misery. So if you look at the migrant labor system, what happened was that the man used to leave. Some of them never used to come back, start new families, or some of them used to come back home like once every 6 months,
Got
right?
December,
Or
but
once
during
a year,
the year
right?
they've got another family.
And they usually left a young wife behind, right? And what used to happen is that because she needed to be able to keep the family together, she then leaned a lot on the firstborn son. And he was elevated into the man of the family at a very, very young age.
Because there was no dad.
Exactly, there was no dad. And two things happened is that, in terms of Natalie's example, the mom was codependent on Natalie. And I always say you look for a primary caregiver in a partner. Number two, you'll always hear a lot of black women say, black men don't know how to be accountable. But if from the age of 12, you have never been questioned about your decisions, your views around how this household should be managed, you were respected from the age of 14. Then you expect a 35-year-old man who's been a breadwinner to that family for many years to be accountable. It's a serious, serious switch. And what is happening is that, what you find is that men who are raised by single mothers, right, there's a codependency, and understandably so, right, because the mother pours all the love to this child, and also, also because as the boy grows up, right, he's able to handle some of the things that, a man in the house would have handled, right? Just fixing the lights, doing this. I see my mom, now that my dad is gone and there's my nephew, right? And whatever, he's the one, call the plumber, do this, right? So it's understandable that that happens, right? And stuff like that. And the mother is unconscious of it and doing so. So when you expect a lover, and it's interesting enough that a lot of the men who are brought up by single mothers, especially single mothers who are strong black women, expect their wives to be strong black women themselves because they saw the wife so self-sufficient that sometimes they're like, well, no, but my mother used to do this and do this and do this.
Is here.
So it really shapes how you interact with your future partner. And unless you're aware of this, and I can understand why people are not aware of it, to spend time writing a book for 2 years, studying these things, getting psychology's views and stuff like that or whatever, in order to teach you the stuff. So I don't expect people to innately know this. But I think when you do hear something like this today, please go and educate yourself before you self-diagnose, because we are over-diagnosing ourselves. Sometimes it's just context, understanding where you come from, and then seeking help appropriately if you need to.
And being able what you need to unlearn.
And forgive yourself.
Sure, yeah. Natalie in Pretoria, thank you. Soli, you're in Leondale. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Shap, how are you?
I'm fine, man. Two things quickly. The first one, the absence of romance did not keep the marriages to last long in the past. It is other reasons other than the absence of romance. So I think the caller who purported to say that the absence of the romance, it is the reason why the marriages in the old kept long. I think he's wrong. So maybe a different show will interrogate why the marriages were kept long in the past. And then secondly, I want to say that how I saw the marriage of my mom and dad, it affected me in a positive way. Though one of the things they did, my father did, it was positive. The other, it was negative. The positive one, is that he prided himself by making sure that we have got food in our house. And that thing, I took it after him. I also do the same because I saw it as a good thing. But another thing that he did that was bad, but I think it affected me positively. He used to beat my mom. And that affected the hell out of us as the children, because sometimes my mom will take us and run away with us, sleep in the field and things like those. So I proposed in my heart that should I be graced with the marriage, and then I will do my best not to beat my wife, because I know that it affects a lot of things.
Got you. Yeah. Soli in Leondale, thank you so much for that. More of your calls and WhatsApps after the break, 12 minutes before 12.
Do you ever get that wake up, dress up, show up kind of energy? Well, it's final voter registration weekend. On the 1st and 2nd of August from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., registration stations open across South Africa. So show up and register to vote in the upcoming local government elections. Call 0800 11 8000, visit elections.org.za or WhatsApp 0600 8800 0000 for more info. This message is brought to you by the IEC.
Joburg is calling. Step into the heart of the city as the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk takes over the streets once again. Brand Gauteng invites you to lace up, show up, and experience Johannesburg like never before. From iconic landmarks to vibrant neighborhoods, live music, local flavor, and the unmistakable energy of the city. Every step tells a story. Zwakala, bring your friend, bring the family, and be part of the movement. This isn't just a walk. It's Joburg, alive and on the move. See you at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Just Andalex it.
Do you have a sore throat? Andalex C Oral Rinse and Spray provides targeted relief from 1 minute that lasts up to 4 hours. It reduces pain and inflammation while numbing the affected areas. It also kills viruses and bacteria that cause sore throats to help prevent serious throat infections. Andalex, South Africa's #1 choice for sore mouth and throats. For more information, speak to your healthcare professional.
Just Andalex it.
Andalex, a proud sponsor of The Masked Singer Season 3.
You know when your people are giving their best, not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care. We cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is not a medical scheme and the cover is not the same. FlexiCare is underwritten by Auto & General, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, an authorized FSP.
When Joburg walks with the people, for the people, on Sunday, 26 July, everybody will come together at the finish line of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Walk the talk.
Babize bonke. As Josie's favorite artists bring an epic afternoon of fun to the people, featuring Babalwa M, Lebza Defilian, Vibuhle, Nomfundo Mo, Sam Deep, Citizen Deep, and Manana. So, after you've taken the scenic route, join us at the finish line and celebrate the iconic rhythm that makes Joburg more than just a city.
It's Joburg, you know?
702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
Relationship issues?
Relationship Talk.
On 702.
9 minutes before 12 o'clock. Let's go straight to your calls. Nokukanya is calling us from Johannesburg. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good. I just like to contribute 2 points. I come from a household where my grandparents were both married on both sides. And my mother and father got divorced when I was in primary school, and my father remarried. And what that showed me about relationships was I wasn't really a part of what the conversations were to my dad when my mother and him were getting divorced. But I understand now, after seeing him remarry and how different he is in a relationship, that reciprocity is a big thing in marriages. And I think that's the second point, which is while it's important for us to consider how I am feeling in a relationship and the things that I expect my partner to do, because the expectations from our families and society have changed for men over time when it comes to them being able to provide for their families. Before it was mostly financial and it was mostly just making sure that things were taken care of. But now we're seeing more and more that men are expected to be more emotionally supportive and also be more a part of the household in terms of duties, because women are working. They may have even a more demanding career. For example, I'm a specialist pediatrician and my husband works in corporate and he has weekends and working hours. I don't have the same. So I think when it comes to considering how our families communicate with our partners, if you are going to have a situation where, whether it's a small or a big thing, and I mean that can be dependent on who you are, the agreement you have with your partner is the most important thing. And secondly, if your partner is not willing to meet you at least some kind of compromise, be that cheating, be that helping you out with the children, getting them ready for school, be that providing emotional support and not abusing you emotionally or financially, then I think you need to make a decision that could actually be for the benefit of the children, which is to leave. And I saw that with my mother. She chose to leave and she was very financially independent. And now that my father's remarried, he's able to kind of find himself and be more emotionally supportive. And that's changed my view of marriages, because I know in my marriage now that I've been married for about 4 years, that sometimes we get it wrong, but my husband is always willing to have the conversation. And I'm able to call my family, and if we're having an issue that we can't really resolve, not necessarily to tell on him and ask him to talk to him about it, but just kind of have an open discussion to say, how did you guys work through issues? What would the expectation be from my side as umakoti, you know, and also him as umkwenyana? Like, how do we work it out so that we make sure that our relationship is good, so that we are both healthy parents to our family, whether our child is affected or not? Because my dad was an incredible father. I never had any issues with that, and he supported us and provided for us. But my mom had the issue with him, and she then decided to make that decision, and we turned out fine. We did have our issues, but we were fine.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Kanya, for sharing your experience with us. And maybe that's an important point to note, that it's not always going to be negative.
Yeah.
There are certain experiences that you see as a child, and when you grow older, like the other caller who said, I saw my dad beat up my mom, and I said to myself, I never want to be that person.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting about what Nokanya said is that she had healthy role models when it comes to marriage, and then also a very secure attachment style in terms of, you know, when she talks about the support that she got from grandparents all the way to her parents. And that's quite important, because when somebody, you know, if you look at the metric of the 4 quadrants, when somebody comes in with a secure attachment style, they struggle to be in a toxic relationship. And you know, all these high-value women and high-value men and ideal partners, most of the time, people are just looking for people with a secure attachment style. But the thing is about this person who's got a secure attachment style, they don't have appetite for drama. This is not a reality that they saw when they were growing up. They don't understand drama in a relationship. And even when relationships become tough for them and so forth, they always find a way inside them to be able to get to that healthy point where they are able to resolve conflict, even if they decide to walk away from the marriage. And I think that has been important in shaping how she approaches marriage. And I get the assumption that she has a very willing partner who probably also comes from a secure attachment style. Because if he didn't come from a secure attachment style, some of her efforts would be met with a whole lot of resistance, simply because of the fact that he is fighting his internal demons.
Yeah. Can we do part 2 of this chat?
Definitely.
Please. Because, I mean, I haven't even gone through the WhatsApp. So many messages that have come through, and I really want us to give it enough time. So we'll bring back Dudu again for part 2
And when they
of this
come back, these WhatsApps, they must go and look up. I have a whole lesson on attachment styles.
In your book?
No, even on
the socials.
Yeah, it's a whole. I think I've got like 2 or 3 lessons.
Remind us on the
which
socials.
Will help them. I'm the peaceful one.
The name?
The peaceful one.
The peaceful one. So on all social media platforms. Yes. All right, great. Dudu Nhlabati Matonsela, thank you so much. It's 3 minutes before 12.
Head to Dis-Chem for your best winter buys. Look out for the yellow label to enjoy bulk savings on Better Rewards brands. Swipe your Better Rewards card when you buy 2 packs of FlexiCal 30-day supply and save 223 Rand, now only 575 Rand 99. Plus save 59 Rand when you buy Everflu C Immune Booster 20 tablets, now only 155 Rand 99 for 2 packs. Valid until 9 August at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
What if your top performer was struggling with debt, financial pressure, or problems at home? 66% of all counseling cases are rooted in financial stress. The impact often shows up at work through absenteeism, reduced productivity, and disengagement. Kaelo Lifestyle supports employees by providing access to financial and legal guidance and tools to help them successfully navigate life's challenges. So if you're looking to support your people beyond the workplace to help them perform better, visit kaelo.co.za. That's kaelo.co.za.
You've always moved in living color because your greatness was never monotone. Now let the world marvel at you in the all-new Aura 5 SUV, crafted with modern design, luxurious interior, and intelligent tech. Make your next move in the all-new Aura 5 SUV, starting from only 364,900. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
What's popping, Mandy? Good morning.
Good morning, Clem. Well, obviously, the Western Cape High Court judgment on Phala Phala. We'll get reaction to that. We'll speak to political parties. We'll get some analysis as well and have a look at that full judgment that has now been released, which you're holding in your hot little hand. So we'll have a look at that. The MK party wants Andrea Johnson to be charged with perjury. We'll speak to them and find out why. We'll get the latest from the criminal trial involving Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula. The Cat Matlala trial is underway as well. And it's Friday.
Spots.
And good things too.
That's what's popping on the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Thank you for listening to the show and looking forward to seeing you on Sunday at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Have a beautiful weekend, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. We begin in the Western Cape where Parliament's impeachment committee won't be able to commence public hearings into the Phala Phala saga until such time as the Western Cape High Court has made a decision on whether the report that it's relying on should be set aside. The court has today found in favour of